Welcome to round number 4 of the SimRacingPoints Sports Cars Series, live from Sebring International Raceway. The very first time that this series has been on Full Throttle TV, and the first time we've covered a multi-class event. Very excited to be here tonight for the 120 minutes of Sebring, sponsored by Hoppin' Dick's Hard Hat Ale. Shout out to those guys for coming on board tonight in association with Spirit of America Racing and Asphalt Motorsports. Dean Doucet, my partner in the booth tonight. Dean, we have a dandy of a race here tonight. 120 minutes around this very treacherous Sebring International Raceway.
Yeah, it's treacherous. It's fast out here. And I hear it's quite bumpy out here for these guys in the P2 in particular. So they're going to have some struggles there. But really looking forward to this one. Multi-class racing out here. Going to be exciting, Jared.
Yeah, it is. And let's take a look at that championship battle. It's been tight within a lot of different classes. So actually, before we get into that, since this is our first broadcast here on the sport, I should say, here on Full Throttle TV, there are 3 classes here tonight. Dean, we have the P2 class, which is going to feature 4 drivers here tonight. A little bit of a small class, just like real life. Those guys running the prototypes, and much like in Le Mans, 3 or 4 cars is all that group has. GTE-Pro, which features the professionals, the guys that have won championships, the guys that are very, very good on road courses are in that class. They are running the GTE cars, and GTE-AM are guys that may not be normally in road racing, but do enjoy it a lot and are what we would call enthusiast drivers, if you will. Maybe guys from the NASCAR side coming over and run some laps here with us in the sports car series. We have 3 different classes here tonight, and the points battle has been close in all 3 of them all season long. 3 different winners in the GTE-AM class, and then we look at some of these other classes, Dean. It's been a pretty tight battle coming after we ran Daytona, Monza, and then Circuit of Americas.
Yeah, close battle. You look at the P2 standings. You got Matthew Koontz on top. He's got a couple of wins, and Nick is up there. He's got a win. Sorry, Nick, I'll get your last name right later on. And the guy up in the booth up there is sitting in 3rd right now. Jared, I don't like your chances tonight.
Yeah, it's not looking good, I don't think, but glad to be up here in the booth. It's been a fun season racing, and I'm excited to be covering this series. Put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into it, and it's good to have it in this position. But yeah, Nick Dicesare in 2nd. He just won at Circuit of the Americas last week. Dana Herron making the move down to the GTE Pro Series, so his points will no longer calculate. And then also Josh Wilkie is here tonight. He is making his 2nd event of the season, really going for that endurance championship in his belt there. Then we look over, Dean, at our GTE Pro class. This has been the Micheal Blackner show so far this year with 2 wins, but right now Theo Taylor hot on his trail.
Yeah, Theo Taylor. You got Luke Turpin down a bit, but he has a win, so that's good to see someone else. But Blackner really classing up the field here. Taylor, Flanagan. Good to see Joe Flanagan up there having a good series here in 3rd place, and Filipowicz in 4th, and Staubutz in 5th. It's going to be entertaining. I mean, I'm really, proud almost. I know Michael well, and the effort that he's put into his road racing career, man, has he really become one heck of a road racer.
Yeah, he has. And Luke Turpin, a little bit surprised not to see him here. He was in practice last night, but we know how things can come up in real life. So hopefully Luke will make it back out to one of these events. He is very, very quick. But Theo Taylor really has really been giving it to Michael this season. Looking at our final class, that's the GTE-AM. This has been the most competitive. Ryan Pagel, Eric Burghdoff, and Daren Snyder have won races, and Eric Burghdoff coming into this with the points lead.
Yeah, good-looking series here. Burghdoff, Snyder, Rupert, Royce, Escobar. I don't think everybody's on the track tonight. I could be wrong about that. But, see Loomis up here in Stephen Loomis in 7th place and Brian Bliss in 8th. Some interesting names up there. And I think this is going to be really competitive here tonight.
The GTE-AM class has been competitive all season long. 3 different winners in 3 races, and it's anybody's guess who's going to win that class. A couple drivers missing here tonight. I know that we'd like to have Kevin Rupert out there tonight. I believe he's on vacation this week, so enjoy your vacation, Mr. Rupert. Hopefully you're tuned in to watch. I think Mark Royce is also on vacation, so those guys not going to be making it here tonight, but they will definitely be back later in the season. And good solid field tonight. 22 drivers in total, 4 LMP2s, and then the rest are in the GTE class. So that's where the battle is going to be. But Dean, we take a look at the Sebring International Circuit, and you talked about at the beginning. It is a very bumpy track. It's basically was built as part of it's formerly an airport, actually.
It looks like an airport. I mean, there's a lot of room out here. If you get in through sector 1, where it's a little bit, I mean, the track looks open, but it's pretty tight, like tighter turns and everything. But after that, this is really quite a high-speed track out here, Jared. I look for some drag racing down some of these straightaways.
Yeah, and we look at Josh Wilkie right now on screen, and Josh putting that machine at the top of the board. This has been a class, the P2 class, really has been a three-man show. Yeah, I'm third in points, but shout out to Matt and Nick and Josh. Those guys are on a different planet in these cars, and been very competitive watching these guys race. Josh Wilkie gets a little bit wide on his second lap there, but Josh is up on the top of the board in that class. Micheal Blackner on pole in GTE-Pro, and Ryan Pagel, who has won a race earlier this year in GTE-AM, on top right now. So these guys doing a really good job so far here tonight, Dean. And that's, the other thing too, first time we're covering multi-class, it's going to be how much these guys can interact with each other, because you'll see the P2 drivers catch these GTE cars. The pro drivers will eventually catch the GTE-AM drivers, and you're going to have cars all over this track before it's all said and done.
Yeah, and that's what makes this a blast to broadcast and to watch and to even race sometimes. Sometimes not too much fun having these guys come by you or having to get by guys. But this interaction between classes and between different skill level drivers as well is going to really bring up, how patient a driver is or how aggressive he has to be. So it brings in a lot of things into play, and it's going to be interesting to watch here tonight.
Yeah, it is. We got about a minute left in qualifying here tonight, and we look up here just to give you guys a little bit of some color coding here. P2 drivers you'll see are going to be listed in blue, GTE Pro drivers listed in red, and GTE-AM drivers listed in orange. The driver we're currently on will be listed in green on the left-hand side. Right now we're watching Joe Flanagan down there. Joe doing a great job in this series. Dean, he has 1 incident point all season long, if you can believe that.
Wow, super impressive, especially for multi-class driving. There's so much more to deal with and so many more possibilities of an incident. Joe, we know him from oval racing as well. Very classy driver, very respectful, clean driver. Really nice to see him up in the points and doing well.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. Joe can sneak in there and grab a victory. He grabbed one in the GT3 series and the open wheel series that FTSR did before this series came about, but is very good. His qualifying is about to end here. Stephen Loomis and Brian Bliss did not take any laps here, Dean, but it's going to be a big race here tonight. 2 hours is what we're going to be looking at. Not as much as you might think. People think 2 hours, but that's about the length of a normal NASCAR online cup race, so should be entertaining to say the least.
Should be very entertaining. I'm really looking forward to this one, Jared. It's been a while since I've, done a race that has multi-class in. Well, I've never done a multi-class race actually, so I can't be more excited than to watch and see what happens here. All
right, so I'm right there with you, Dean. First time I've covered one of these before, besides our 24-hour races that we do sometimes. But we are going to get into the starting grid. So we'll go through the grid list here. It's going to be divided by class to make it easier on the viewers at home here. And we look at the prototype class first. Nick Dicesare did snip the pole in the last waning moments here. 1/10 quicker than Josh Wilkie in the 7 part of Angry Wife Racing. Love that name. Matt Koontz, the teammate to Nick Dicesare, in 3rd. And Paul Romaninski will be in 4th there in the prototype 2 class there, Dean.
Yeah, we look down to the pro class, and you got Micheal Blackner leading the way there with Theo Taylor 0.8 seconds back. So Blackner again showing his dominance. Good for him. Dana Heron back there in 3rd. Filipowicz in 4th. Flanagan will start in 5th. And 6th will be Donnie Sabats. Now he will be 10th in the field, but 6th in his class.
Yep, we also got Rob Shoemaker there. He was a little bit slower. He'll be in 7th, so 7 GTE Pro. But, Dean, the big class we're looking at here tonight, that's that GTE-AM, 10 drivers. So this is the big class here tonight. And it has been the big class all season long, usually 10 to 15 drivers every race for this group. Ryan Pagel on the pole position, just 600ths of a second. That's the closest between our top two in any class right now over Eric Burghdoff, part of that Spirit of America Racing that came on board to sponsor tonight's race. Daren Snyder and Rex Hoyle, a debutant in row number 2. Row number 3, we got Joseph Bellinger making his debut and Brad Cornthwaite in row number 3, Dean. And we got, looking back, Tony Soler back here in row number 4 with Yario Escobar. And row 5 will be the Blackwater drivers of Stephen Loomis and Brian Bliss.
All right, interesting field, very tight there in the AM class, and I think that's where some of the battles are. But let's not count out the other two, and in particular the P2 class. I think there's going to be a good fight up front there, Jared.
Yeah, the P2 class has been very competitive, even though it's only been 3, 4, 5 drivers. Just like in real life, it's usually they're the very quick guys, and Josh Wilkie and Nick Dicesare had a great battle going at Monza a couple weeks ago until a light pit stop error by Nick Dicesare kind of put him out of contention. But this is an excellent class, a lot of talented drivers here. Paul Romaninski making his debut. Good to see Paul out here in that machine. Hopefully he can get some points out here tonight. But Dean, you look back, they got a full pace lap here tonight, so that's always good. Some of these tracks only get a half lap, but Micheal Blackner, he's got some challengers there. We've seen, Theo Taylor's there, Matthew Filipowicz is there, and then Dana Herron also there. And Dana making the switch over to GTE-AM or Pro. It's going to be interesting to see how he can do in that Porsche.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting amongst the pros, but don't forget, we got a couple of amateurs who are running second and third in the class overall right now. So that's interesting as well. Pagel and Burghdoff look like they might challenge Blackner, even though they're not in the pro class.
Exactly right. And that's going to be the difference there. I mean, yes, they're racing for points on the positions on the track, but not points in the standings. So, but they are still competitors. No balance of power difference between those two drivers classes. So it's they're still going to be kind of, if you will, in the way, and you have to race them. So that's a really good point to bring up. While we have a chance here, let's bring in the race information here. This is a day to night transition race. So it's going to be exciting. We're about noon here in game, but it is a 75 air, 95 track here tonight around this 3.6 mile Sebring International Raceway as we're about to go green.
Yeah, about to get this thing kicked off. Let's get racing.
So Nick Dicesare, Josh Wilkie, and Matt Koontz, Paul Romaninski, those are the P2 drivers, LMP2. They will lead them around, and we'll get the start of this class here. Coming off turn number 17, Sunset Bend. A little bit cloudy, so we might not see the sunset here tonight. And we're green flag here at the 120 minutes of Sebring. Great start by Wilkie. Behind him in the distance, Blackner down the way with Ryan Pagel and Eric Burghdoff right there as well.
Yeah, big fight back here behind our 4 P2 drivers. These guys battle down into corner number 1.
Got Burghdoff going wide there, but he gets it under control. Off the grass, little bit of contact. He holds onto it somehow.
He does not. He gets into someone, and he's down into the inside wall.
And Burghdoff just got a little bit hot in there, and that's a really tight turn. And he's getting it going now, but that was very, very tight through there.
Yeah, I didn't see who he got into there, but that's not going to be good for that car either. Hopefully not too much of damage. But Blackner holding on to that class lead. In the AMs, he got Pagel and Snyder first and second.
There you go. So looking at this battle in prototypes, though, these top 3, they're not letting each other get away too quick, as Dicesare has Wilkie all over the mirrors. Those very racing teammates, looking, and Wilkie looked into the inside there, couldn't quite get it done through turn number 9. Yeah, that's 9.
Yeah, it's going to be something to watch these guys because they're looking really racy here. Joshua Wilkie is all over Nick right now, and I think he can get him here, but he's got to be patient and wait for a proper passing opportunity.
These guys will battle hard, and it's been some of the closest finishes. Oh, and Wilkie spins it. Wilkie gets down. He's going to spin it back around, but that is a tough break for Wilkie. He's seen this happen at Monza earlier in the season, and now he's got to get his work cut out for him once again here in that P2 machine. He's got a little bit on the the rumble strips there coming out of turn 16.
Wow, that is heartbreak. Wilkie has got, I mean, he's 11 seconds behind the leader now. He has got a ton of work to do. Now, this man is fast, so maybe he can get it done, but this is not good.
Yeah, and we also have to keep in mind too, this is 2 minutes into a 2-hour race. So a lot of things can happen here as this race transpires. Micheal Blackner continuing to lead in GTE Pro. He's got about a 2-second lead over Theo Taylor, who is the third car in line there. Theo Taylor doing a good job. He is the New Zealander out here tonight, doing a good job in that 777 machine. Second in points, not letting Blackner get too comfortable.
Theo Taylor doing a nice job back there, but I got to keep harping on my amateur guys. You got Ryan Pagel up here, and he's actually hanging in there with Blackner. That's really nice to see. Daren Snyder also right in there. So those two, Pagel and Snyder, it looks like they might do battle all night long.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. These guys have really improved every race and have really established themselves as drivers that, if the season was to start again, they might be in a different class. But doing a good job getting a little bit used to the system here as you see Theo Taylor battling there with Ryan Pagel. Theo Taylor and Daren Snyder battling together there.
Yeah, they're doing battle on the track, and it'll be interesting as these two and the two in front of them come down this main straightaway now at the head of steam. Is there any draft here? Is there any passing opportunity? It doesn't look like there's that much of a draft here tonight.
Yeah, there really isn't too much. The key is to get a run out of this last turn here as we go on board Ryan Pagel in that Corvette, the 081. Not quite close enough. It's not like you would have in a stock car where you could be, a second behind. You've got to be about a half a second to 0.3 of a second to get any kind of draft. But Pagel might have gotten a little bit of tow there, but the GT class looking very good out here right now. These guys doing a good job. Look a little bit further back, debutant Jason Bellinger. He's got Mr. Donnie Staubitz, one of your guys back there, Dean, all over the back of him. Rob Shoemaker there as well. That's a battle for 5th in GTE Pro and 3rd in GTE-AM.
Wow, and Bellinger way up the track there. That's going to bring Staubitz right up to him and bring Shoemaker with him.
Yeah, Rob Snyder doing a great job there. Donnie Staubitz.
Rob Snyder, is he in this race tonight, Jared?
Rob Shoemaker.
Just teasing you.
Hey, we got a lot of guys out here. Theo Taylor goes off track there in turn number 4, loses a little bit of time, and now he's going to get Dana Herron, the new entrant to the GTE Pro Series, Dean. He's going to be all over the back of him. So 2 Porsches there at the top.
Yeah, Porsches are looking pretty dominant. You look at the Pro class, you got 4 Porsches at the top. There's a little bit of trouble there on the track.
Yeah, Theo Taylor got off the track there, and Dana Herron's going to go around him for 2nd in class.
Yeah, he's going to pounce on that opportunity. And from what I'm seeing earlier, that's what you're going to have to do, Jared, is you're going to have to wait for your opportunity and pounce, because passing at a premium, even with this wide open track, high speed track, just doesn't look like, they got no push to pass, no real draft to speak of. It's just going to be a very difficult night for passing.
Yeah, it is. And that's the kind of the moniker of how Sebring is. We're going to see a lot of single file racing until those prototype drivers start making their way through the field. And that's when it really starts to spice up. And speaking of spicing up, Josh Wilkie's already gained 2 seconds back on Nick Dicesare. So he is coming, got a lot of speed there. Just one small mistake, and who knows what we could have had in this race. But Wilkie is getting it done.
Well, this could be making it interesting. Maybe Wilkie's the fastest guy out here. He certainly looks like it now. And, put him 11 seconds back. Give him something to talk about as he works his way back up here. Now breaking 9 seconds. So he's flying right now.
And we bring up our last lap, last lap times here. And we actually have purple sectors by Matt Koontz. So he's put down the best lap in the prototypes, 148.4. And then we have Micheal Blackner putting the best lap down in the GTE Pro at 157.8. And Ryan Pagel putting down a 158.4. Those are the best laps on the track, and they just came here about 6 laps into the event.
Yeah, these are all, you expect that it'll only get quicker here for a while as those fuel loads drop. I would think they're going to run faster times. You never know, though.
You're exactly right, Dean. They actually will the speeds won't drop off too much in the P2 class. As you see, Josh Wilkie's already caught up to Paul Romanensky there in third place in the Proton Boogie Sim Sports 2 machine. So Josh Wilkie making some quick work here, and he's already getting himself up into this battle. Look a little bit further back, Dean. We got Brad Cornthwaite going off track. Looks like he's got that thing going again in the right direction, but Brad doing a good job making his third start in the series. Part of the Toking Smyers Racing Group with Tony Soler. Those guys also run the Xfinity Series on Thursday night. So doing a good job back here, but do see a little bit of damage on the front of that Corvette.
Yeah, a little bit of damage to that. But, you know, I'm looking up at the P2s here, and it seems like our leader, well, the next lap just clicked off, but it looks like Matthew Koontz in second place, clicking off some very fast times here, actually closing in on our leader just slightly this lap, a lot more last lap, and of course Joshua Wilkie still the fastest of them all.
And we look at Nick Dicesare and Matt Koontz, those two leaders right now. That gap has come down from 2.2 seconds to 1.5 seconds. So Koontz catching up there, and these two guys, they might have won the races so far this season in the P2 class, but it's been a battle for both of them to get it done. And then you throw a guy like Josh Wilkie in as well, and it's hard to say what we're going to get here in the 120 minutes of Sebring, but Nick Dicesare has got some pressure from his teammate right now.
Yeah, he does. He's got a lot of pressure here. You see them both running those very similar paint schemes, nice colors there. And this is going to be a battle, man. And you can already tell Wilkie will make it back up here if he can keep that car on the track. So this is going to really be an interesting race as it goes along. Can Wilkie make his way back up there? Can he make a pass? Can Koontz fight off to Cesare here, or vice versa? Can Koontz catch him and pass him? I mean, that's where it's really key, is these passing. Where are you going to pass, Jared?
You're exactly right. And you see already, looks like one of the GTE-AM drivers that look to be Steve Loomis going a lap down now. Do believe he started from pit road. But Dean, you know, those two prototype drivers, Romanensky and Wilkie, they're on the same straightaway as Koontz and Dicesare. So this is actually getting to be a little bit closed up here as this race goes on, 9 minutes into the race.
Yeah, and just a little update there. Brad Cornthwaite has hit the tires. He come out of the corner and hit the tires. And it looks like he's okay, but there's some pretty good damage on the front end of that.
These cars, Dean, can take a little bit of a pounding. You can run them into the wall a few times, and they'll still keep going without too much problem. But Brad Cornthwaite trying to get that car right in the right direction. And let's take a look back up at the the AM leading class. Pagel has increased his gap over Daren Snyder to 3 seconds. Micheal Blackner has a 9-second lead over Dana Herron right now.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't take my eyes off the P2 class, Jared. Not to throw you for a loop, but Koontz is there, and they are doing battle here. He's closed right in. Now a little bit of a gap, but he is all over him right now.
We got action all over the track right now, but Koontz is there, and the longer the Koontz has to stay behind Dicesare, you know, you have to think that's going to give an opportunity for Wilkie and Romanensky to get back in this battle a little bit. And Koontz, Dean, he is there going through turn number 11 right now.
Yeah, he's there, and Wilkie just got by Romanowski, so he's coming. Now 7.2 seconds back. Remember, he was over 11 seconds back just minutes ago.
So there we go. Looks like Steve Loomis might have gone off track there in the GTE-AM, the BMW. We're focusing on this battle right now. Let's see if Koontz isn't quite close enough, but man, Wilkie is in the distance. If you see in that camera shot down the straightaway there, Josh Wilkie is coming, and he's coming quick.
He is coming quick. And, you know, right now, though, you talked about Koontz and where he's at. You know, that last gap that he's in right now, that may be the toughest gap in all of racing to close in, because it's right there where you start to focus on that driver in front of you instead of your marks. You almost can't help it. And it throws you off just a little bit. If you could just stay focused on your marks, you're going to close that gap. But it is so tough to do, Jared.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Dean. And it makes it very, very, very difficult because you're there, but you just can't seem to make it the last little bit. And it can get frustrating. These guys have raced a lot this year together, so it's not too surprising that Matt Koontz is just taking his time right now. I think he's going to wait for the right opportunity.
Yeah, he's got to wait. I wonder how much of this is maybe the team together thinking, let's try and, not fight each other here and lose more time to Wilkie, who continues to take time out of their lead. But I got to think they're hardcore racers, Jared. They're not sitting. He's not doing this for team orders. It's just a very tough place to pass.
Yeah, it is. It might be one of the tougher places to pass. And you watch these P2 drivers, Dean, as we focus on this battle right now, as it is for the lead of the overall race. Just look at how much this track bounces these cars around. It doesn't bounce the GTEs around nearly as much, but it really bounces these P2 cars around.
Absolutely. And in different sectors, especially in sector 1, you'll see these guys, it's very choppy. And if you go in the cockpit of one of these drivers in that section, you'll see just how much movement they're dealing with. And as one driver has said, if this is a real life, you'd be coming out of here with a broken back.
Yeah, and some chipped teeth, no doubt about it. We got some action back toward the middle of the pack here. Brian Bliss has gone. Oh, he's just letting somebody by. Didn't go off track, just letting some drivers get through there. Eric Burghdoff making his way back up through the pack, passing Tony Soler and Brian Bliss there.
Yeah, a little update on the AM class there. Pagel with a 6.5, closing in on a 7-second lead, and Snyder in second has a nice little lead back to him from Bellinger by over 10 seconds. So the AM class, is kind of spread out. We thought there might be a great battle there, but the battle, more importantly, is, forget about class for a minute. Blackner is only about 1.6 seconds in front of Pagel. So Pagel trying to cross divisions, if you will.
Yeah, Pagel doing a really good job. He has really come on strong from Daytona to Circuit of the Americas to Monza, and really has established himself as a driver that, you could look at and be like, this guy could be a pro. But at the beginning, he definitely had some off-road excursions, lack of speed, if you will, at Daytona and some of the early races, but he has really gotten his act together. New to road racing, as I was talking to him, Dean, and really has taken a liking to it a lot, and he puts in the time. He's in every practice server that comes up with the series.
Yeah, well, for his last lap there, he was a couple of tenths faster than Micheal Blackner. So Pagel for sure will be a pro, I would think, next season if he continues at this pace. And he's just doing an excellent job here.
And he's not letting Micheal Blackner sleep. Now, there is a little added bonus for the amateur drivers because you can't switch classes in the middle of the season. But if they win a class, they get some bonus points if they win the overall GTE class. So there is a little bit extra opportunity there for Ryan Pagel here tonight. If he can get around Micheal Blackner to get the overall GTE win. But Blackner doing a good job. Pagel in second. And then we look back at the GTE-AM class. Theo Taylor, he's got Dana Herron all over him. Those guys have been battling hard for second place right now.
Yeah, in the pro class, you mean? Yeah, Theo Taylor is sitting there. He's in a fight with Dana right now. Dana looking pretty good. But the guys behind him, actually, oddly enough, you got Stavats and Filipowicz, both turning faster times. The fastest times, I believe, of the group outside of Micheal Blackner.
Now let's take a look at those last lap times. We'll have those slid out there on the right-hand side. Last lap by, actually, is Ryan Pagel the quickest time. He actually went quickest of all GTE drivers at a 57.6. But besides that, you're right, Dean. Donnie was the fastest driver there in the pro class at 159.1. So he is coming toward the front.
Yeah, and you expect that from him. I'm not sure what happened during qualifying, but Donnie, really a high-class road driver, and I expect him to move forward as this race goes on, and his comfort level is only going to increase here. Another guy I wanted to highlight, too, was Rex Hoyle. I was watching him. He continues to turn really fast laps out here in the amateur class, so he's looking good as well.
Yeah, let's take a look at Rex Hoyle. Very classic paint scheme, if you will. Black, white, and red. Really like that thing, and he is on the back of Joe Flanagan right now. So two veterans kind of going at it there. Rex Hoyle, former member of FTSR, coming back to run the Sportscar series. So good to see Rex back out here, and he's battling with Joe Flanagan there, who is kind of having a little bit of a tough night around Sebring.
Yeah, a little bit of a tough night. Maybe not enough track time for Joe there, as Rex is going to be looking for somewhere to get by here right shortly.
Rex is actually running 4th in class, so doing a really good job as he is right there on the back of 7th in class GTE Pro driver Joe Flanagan. That's the battle on the track right now. Up front, Dicesare still holding off Matt Koontz, Dean, and those guys are starting to catch the back of the track. In fact, they're catching Rex Hoyle and Joe Flanagan.
Yeah, and they're starting to get faster here as they've, made up a little bit of time, or at least stabilized that gap back to Wilkie. So Wilkie, perhaps pushing a little too hard early, might have hurt his stuff a little bit. Hard to say, but his rate of closing that gap has slowed down.
Yeah, and this is an endurance race. You see the LMP2s. This is when it starts to get dicey. They start getting through the traffic here, and Nick Dicesare is going to get around Joe Flanagan there. Put those guys one lap down overall, but it doesn't really matter to those guys where these P2 drivers are. But this is where it gets thick and dicey, Dean. They're all over the back of these GTE-AM drivers and pro drivers, and that's going to allow Wilkie to get back in this thing.
Yeah, it is. It's going to allow him for sure, but he's going to have to deal with it as well, Jared. And that's one thing about this multi-class racing is it's almost who can deal with this lap traffic in the best fashion, or maybe has the best luck at catching them in the right spot.
And that's a really good point. Is there, the both Koontz and Dicesare making past, I think it was 3 drivers there on the front straightaway. So they got very lucky getting around those drivers in that spot.
Yeah, and you notice here as they come into the next corner just how much they've had to slow down here. It's killing them. And, this is the difference. If you catch them on the straightaway, you go right on by. But in the corner, you can't really pass. You have to wait. I'll bet you they lost a half second, or maybe more, in those turns.
It looks to be about a second, actually, Dean. So it's down to under 5 seconds now to Josh Wilkie. Oh, somebody slides in front of him. That's Joseph Bellinger. Luckily, he was able to get that thing off the track. But Nick Dicesare and Matt Koontz, now it's down to 4.3. So Josh Wilkie making quick time through these cars as he's flashing the lights right now, getting around, looks like Brad Cornthwaite.
Yeah, he's all over that light switch. Get out of my way, I'm coming through, says Joshua.
This has been kind of the battle, Dean. I'm a little bit surprised. Not too surprised, but the battle has really been in the P2 classes. These 3 drivers have really set themselves up to be at the front of this field, and Josh Wilkie making some great time through the GTE classes, and has able to really decrease that gap down to the very racing drivers. So he looks underneath
I'm noticing something out of Wilkie, and you know me, I talk a lot about patience out here, but I also talk about aggression, and this is where aggression is needed. I mean, you're risking a little bit, but if you want to get through this traffic, you're going to have to be aggressive or lose time like we've seen our leaders do. Now, Wilkie did lose time as well past those same guys, but it wasn't nearly as much. He gained at least a half second overall.
He did gain about a half second overall, but he definitely lost some time behind Matthew Filipowicz there, unfortunately for Josh. But the Canadians, not a lot of love between the 2 Canadian drivers there. Filipowicz definitely was giving Wilkie a little bit of a, I wouldn't say a hard time, but he wasn't making it easy to pass him.
You never know with the Canadians, as I'm a Canadian myself, could be some rivalries between provinces, could be a hockey thing, who knows, but sometimes no love lost.
We got Eric Burghdoff in the pits. Early pit stop for Eric there, but there is some strategy involved here, Dean. We think that these guys can go about 25 minutes on fuel in the LMP2 class. Now they have 80% fuel tanks in the prototypes, 55% tanks in the GTEs, because otherwise the GTEs would probably only have to make about 1 stop in these longer races and no stop in our shorter races. But these guys getting on the edge of maybe some pit strategy here coming up.
Yeah, if you look in on Dana Heron here, Jared, back here with him and Theo Taylor doing battle on the track. They got our leaders coming through, and depending on when they come through, it hurts one guy and helps another. It kind of balanced out there as our leader got on by. We'll see with this next car, who is going to be Matthew Koontz as he gets through, but it's killing Koontz right now.
Yeah, we were just on that battle, Dean, and you saw Dicesare had to really get down in there, and it's really allowed Dicesare to kind of check out, because that's the thing. These guys are battling with each other. They're not going to give up their battle to let these LMP2 drivers go, and they don't have to do that. And that's kind of what makes multi-class racing so amazing and so fun to watch, as you see Theo Taylor trying to hold off Dana Herron right now.
Yeah, and it's very interesting, the difference as we see now. You're going to have Joshua Wilkie already coming through here, and he's going to make short work of these guys. That's really going to help him out. But as we talk about how much it affects them, the fast cars, what about the slow cars having to move over? We've seen Theo Taylor have to move over where Dana Herron did not have to move over for one of those cars, and it allowed him to catch up. So there's different effects on different classes, but it's all about luck, strategy, aggression, patience. I mean, all these things come in.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And that's what makes multi-class racing so challenging. It's not just, the fact that you're battling with different drivers, and Dana Herron really deep on the brakes there into turn 6 there, and he is all over the back of Theo Taylor, not making it easy for him. These guys have been battling the whole time.
Yeah, these guys are doing a great job, battling hard. Herron a little better under braking, I think, but Taylor a little better off, and sometimes better off is the way to go. I'm not sure. As a really good corner from Herron there, and he's right to the bumper.
He's going through this complex of curves here, and Herron taking a little bit of a different line, trying to set up Theo Taylor to come through this little area here. And so this is the Canadian versus the Aussieman. Some what do you call it? Colonies? Not colonies, but
Commonwealth battle.
There you go. That's what I was looking for.
We used to be in the Commonwealth. I'm not sure who's out and who's in anymore. It's so long ago. I think these type of things are done away with the ages of history.
And there you go. And look in the background, Dean. Donnie Staubach's catching up to these two drivers as they battle out. So we're going to have a battle for second place coming up real close with 3 or 4 drivers.
Yeah, Donnie continuing to do a nice job here. Filipowicz and Shoemaker is still chasing from behind, but Donnie Staubach, like I said, as this race goes on, I expect him to get stronger and stronger. And it's a long race, Jared. I mean, 122 minutes. It's going to wear on these guys. And, he talked about the bumps in real life. Well, I got to tell you, there's some effects in sim racing, too, that depending on what wheel you're running, they'll be shaking and rattling all the time. I don't know if you're using a butt kicker seat, your seat will be bumping all over the place. You're just going to wear a few of these guys out, and some will benefit and some will fall.
Oh, yeah. When you're talking about we're about 26 minutes into this race. So, I mean, it's still a long way to go, and we've seen so many things happen in these longer races. Daytona came down to the wire, and it was a 145-minute race. So a lot of stuff to play for yet in this race, as Koontz and Wilkie continue to work through traffic, and now Koontz can see Wilkie in his mirror as he struggled to get around Joe Flanagan there.
Yeah, Koontz is being very careful with traffic, and that's great, and I love it. I mean, I love clean drivers. But Wilkie is just a little more aggressive, and he is closing in, not only on him, but on our race leader as well.
Apologies, that was Ryan Pagel, the GTE-AM leader, and now we got Micheal Blackner, the GTE-Pro leader, and they're going to catch him on the straightaway, so this is going to be pretty easy for these guys here. And then they'll start the process all over again, Dean.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Multi-class racing brings in a whole new aspect here. And right now, though, Joshua Wilkie, the showman out here, putting on a show, had that early spin, put him 11 seconds down. He's got it down to almost 4 seconds now. I mean, it's just amazing. If he can get it up here and get by these guys, he might set sail and walk away.
Yeah, and Dean, when you talk about this is a pretty crucial moment in the race. They have a little bit of a gap as we bring up our track map. There is nobody in front of these P2 drivers here. This is the time to make up time on Nick Dicesare, because you have a clean track. So does he, but he's going to get in that lap traffic sooner than you are. You got to put down some good laps as we go on board Matt Koontz right now.
Yeah, I might think the opposite though, Jared. I mean, for a guy like Wilkie, you've made up all this time. Okay, you had an incident, you've closed the gap, you were pretty aggressive doing it, you got away with it. Like, not that you're not going to, but so you're here now. Let's be patient as he takes a little peek to the inside. Now, this is not the time to use that high aggression, in my opinion. It's a 2 hour race. Wait for your opportunity. Don't over push it.
Did the cross under there. Wilkie is there and made Matt Koontz make a little bit of a mistake there. Dean, he is pressing, as you will.
He's pressing, and this could be costly. Mark my words, if he's to get in an incident or lose control of that vehicle, he's got an hour and a half left. He's obviously the fastest on the track. Just take your time, make this pass clean. Even if it takes you 5 laps and you lose a few seconds, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. We cover some series out here that might have fast repairs or things like that. There's no fast repairs. You get damaged, you're gonna have to sit in the pit road as Wilkie's gonna look underneath in Sunset Bend. Can't still get it done. Koontz is gonna wash wide though. These guys are all over, and Koontz is gonna go ahead and head to pit road.
Interesting call from Koontz straight into pit road. He didn't want that battle on him, and you can see he's been driving pretty cautiously all night. He's going to take this opportunity to pit. I think it's a good call from Koontz. It's only going to help Wilkie as well.
Yeah, Wilkie's now going to get that clean air, 4.4 seconds behind Nick Dicesare there. So these guys are going to be, this is going to be interesting. This is when the race starts to kind of get into that flow as these the pit stops start to come down. And Josh Wilkie now and Nick Dicesare still out there. We look at Paul Romanensky. Haven't forgot about Paul, doing a great job. For the Proton Boogie Sim Sports 2 machine, the Zero machine there, in third place. A little bit off. He got off track and lost some time. Hasn't been able to gain that back. Locks it up there. But he is in third in class right now in his debut race.
Yeah, he's doing a good job out here, Paul, just turning some laps, getting used to the car, getting used to who his competition is. And I think he just found out, Jared, that there's some pretty stiff competition amongst these other 3 drivers.
You're exactly right, Dean. And, we also have some other prototype drivers that run part-time, Terry Cooper Jr., Brandon Elder, Matt Geringer. So they're not here tonight, but we'll definitely see them at some point this season. And it's a tough class, especially when they all come on board. But looking back at the GT battles, Micheal Blackner has a little bit of a handful. Ryan Pagel is there. Now, again, this is not for a, if you will, a championship win, but it's still a battle on track. And, there is some supremacy at stake here between GTE classes.
Yeah, Blackner having a pretty slow last lap. I'm not sure what happened to him, but he's about at least a second off his normal pace, so a little bit of a problem for him, and that's allowed Pagel, who's doing a great job of hanging around in here all night long.
Yeah, and that's we have Josh Wilkie in the lead. Dicesare is in the pits, and Theo Taylor has gone off track.
Get a look in on what happened to Theo here. Looks like he just kind of nothing too major, and he's not going to have any problem there. Just touching the grass a little wide, a little wobble back and forth, and he's maybe going to get back. He's back on track, safe and away.
And that's going to put him down to 4th in the GTE-Pro class. His teammate Matthew Filipowicz is there in 5th. In the background there, Rob Shoemaker in 6th, doing a great job, keeping it clean in that Corvette machine. In 6th place in class. He's got a little bit of a gap to make up on Filipowicz and company there as Theo Taylor is going to head into the pits.
Yeah, as Nick Dicesare there is pitted as well, so that's going to turn the lead over to Joshua Wilkie in the P2 class.
And this is crucial for Josh. He's got to make some good time here as he's working on Joe Flanagan there. He's got to make some time up in this lap because
Nick's around.
And Nick has spun it.
No damage, but he's going to lose that spot to Koontz, who went on by him.
And that is a tough break for Nick Dicesare, who has spun it, coming, it looked like turn 4 there in that section, and no damage. Still a long way to go, 90 minutes left, but tough break there for Nick Dicesare.
Yeah, that's really tough for Nick. You don't want to be chasing a guy like Joshua Wilkie, and more than likely, if Wilkie can turn another quick lap, he just laid down, and he's in now. His last lap was a 1:48.5. That's excellent for your last lap going into the pits, and look for him to come out in the lead possibly.
Here comes Josh Wilkie in. Let's bring up the track map on the position here. So looks like Matt Koontz is already close to going by him here. No, he's not. So Matt Koontz is coming into the back straightaway.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Wilkie here. Depending on the length of this stop, Wilkie should get out and get in front of him.
These, the other thing too, Dean, there is that strategy. You know, tires don't wear too much, so there's going to be a big discrepancy on, you know, when do you take tires? You're not going to be able to do the whole 2-hour race on one set of tires, but you know, maybe you take tires now, maybe you take tires later. Looks like Koontz is going to go by, but Wilkie getting out of the pits now, so it's going to be pretty close.
Yeah, Wilkie's by, so, well, I mean, Koontz is by. Wilkie's going to filter into second there, so he's going to be in front of Dicesare, and that's a problem for him. But now he'll see what Wilkie can do here. And it looks like, I mean, those pit times, Jared, so what's the difference between a 4-tire stop, say, and a gas-only stop, time-wise?
Gas only is looking at about what they did, 26 seconds to fill up that tank. It is so there is different rule sets. iRacing only has the IMSA rule set where you cannot do fueling and tires at the same time. So 26 seconds to do the fuel, and then it's about 30 seconds to change the tires. So if they do change tires, we're looking at somewhere in the 45 to 50 second just pit time, not pit lane time, but just pit time.
So speaking of pit times, Ryan Pagel with a 19.8. And even though Micheal Blackner not in his class, a class above, he had a 20.7, Pagel comes out in front of the pro drivers. He'll put the AM driver in front of the GTE class.
So Ryan Pagel, like I said, I've been really impressed with him. I've talked to him a couple times. And, you know, like I said, somewhat newer to the this road course racing, and has really improved since Daytona, and really has put himself on that that list to be a pro driver in the future, and he is doing a great job in that 81 for North Star Sim Sports. Blackner is in the background there, though, and then we look a little bit further back. Daren Snyder, he's got Dana Herron not too far behind him. So the AM drivers and the pro drivers, there's some intermingling here tonight.
There is, and let's take nothing away from the 13 of Daren Snyder. What an excellent run for him. I mean, Pagel is doing just great or whatever, but Daren Snyder also...
Oh, and Micheal Blackner's crashed it.
Oh, no.
Micheal Blackner has crashed it. That is... I can't tell exactly where that is. That looks like... Yeah, coming onto the back straightaway. So he is going to lose the position to Daren Snyder as well. So the two AM drivers ahead of the pro leader.
Yeah, so Blackner come there. He had an LMP. That was Romanowski. Kind of spooked him. He just touched the grass, Jared. Kind of moving over, touched the right side with a couple of tires, and it spun him out, sent him off the left side of the track.
We'll get a replay of that real quick here, and you're going to see Romanowski in the background there. And here comes Blackner. And the LMP had a lot of closing speed through this turn, and just gets a little bit off the track and almost hit the LMP2 driver. He locks it down, makes very, very small contact. Don't think there's any damage. But, I mean, yeah, it cost him some spots on the track, but overall, he's still the leader in class.
Yeah, well, this is the part of the multi-class racing, and I don't know if it's what the protocol is here, but I would say run your line, Jared. I'm not moving. Yeah. Run your line and allow people to pass you.
And that's exactly the way that it is preached by the administration group, Dean. The LMP2s, it's their job to pass the GTE drivers. The GTE drivers should run their race, not the other way around. It looked like Blackner was just trying to be a little bit too courteous there, cost him. And now Dana Herron is in his sights, and Dana Herron's been pretty quick after that pit stop, and we might have a battle for the lead here.
Definitely. So this is the Pro Series. 2 amateurs actually lead the class, but the Pro Series has got a battle now between Blackner and Herron, and it's about 2.8 seconds right now, so still work for Herron to do, but we're only, a half hour, just over a half hour in, and you've already seen that if you can keep your car on the track and stay clean, you can make up huge chunks of time when someone has a mistake.
And don't look now, Donnie Staubitz has got himself on the podium for the GTE Pro class. He is right there behind Dana Herron, 3 seconds back. So we got three drivers within 6 seconds of each other, and could have a little bit of a battle here as Donnie Staubitz continuing to get quicker and quicker as this race goes on as well. And that comes down to a little bit of track time too, Dean.
It does, and you know, when Micheal Blackner went off, it not only hurt Micheal Blackner, but the two guys behind him, their eyes just lit up as they seen that they now have a legitimate shot. A guy like Donnie Staubitz, you know, back 10, 15 seconds out from our leader, all of a sudden finds himself within 7 seconds and starting to get excited.
Yeah, and Blackner put down a whale of a lap last time around. He's actually increased that lap up over Dana Herron. So these guys doing a good job here, trying to rebound, but Blackner going to make it hard on him as he doesn't make a lot of mistakes, Dean. We saw him make a mistake at the Daytona Road Course at the beginning of the season, cost him the win, had his worst finish of the season there, but he's been on a streak of winning every race since then. But this thing is getting dicey here in Sebring, 38 minutes into it.
Yeah, it is. And you're right, though. Micheal, a professional, he's going to recover from this. He's not one to get overly rattled. So, and we already seen a little bit of anger maybe fueled one of his better laps of the night. So Michael's going to be just fine. But the thing is, it'll get in your head. Right now, normal racing, what happens the next time the LMPs come around again? You know, is he going to try to move over again? Or, you know, we just got to race your own line.
You're exactly right. Looking back at our P2 class, a lot of battles all over the race, which is amazing. Love to see all the battling. But Dicesare has caught up to Wilkie. So, Dean, I wonder if Wilkie maybe took a little bit heavier fuel load than Koontz, because, I mean, there is, you know, some fuel strategy involved in this race here because of the length of the race. And Dicesare kind of came into Wilkie, and Koontz has kind of taken off from both these guys.
Yeah, well, there definitely could be fuel strategy here. As you see, Koontz pitted on lap 15. He had Dicesare on 16 and Wilkie on 17. So maybe, because Wilkie's looking a little slower now, and all of a sudden Koontz, who was third, is first, and he's turning on the fastest laps. There definitely could be some fuel load strategy going on.
So these guys, you know, it's a fixed setup series. So these guys all have the same equipment. They can make some adjustments to in the LMP2s. There is the ability to do a power steering adjustment, which basically increases or decreases the fuel of the wheel. They could change the brake bias, and that's about it. Everything else is the same, but they also can decide, and Dicesare got loose coming onto the back straightaway, locked up the brakes, and he had to slow it down. He almost spun it again.
Wow, he is probably getting frustrated at this point, but there's a ton of time left. He has got to get it together here.
And that's the thing. I think, you know, these guys, we just got done running 2 75-minute races. That's the traditional length for this series. And, you know, now you go into a race that's, you know, 45 minutes longer. You're kind of in that mindset of kind of doing a little bit a shorter race. And now you have a longer race. And you're trying to drive it like a shorter race, it seems like.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, you know, race car drivers, it takes time to adjust. And these are long races. And you might think, well, they're in the series already. They know this. Yeah, but they race other races. And a lot of them are shorter than this. And I think that this takes time to get in that mindset. And as we break in 40 minutes now, you wait, Jared, till we hit about that hour and 15 minutes time, and it's really going to sink in just how much length of a race you have. And we talk about people burning up equipment. What about burning up your body? What about your energy levels? You know, really, because it's going to take a toll on you.
You're exactly right, Dean, and that's the big thing there. You're going to be sweating at the end of this race, especially at a tough track like this, where, you know, you talked about earlier the force feedback and how bumpy it is can really influence this race. And then you think about, you know, here in about 3 weeks time, we're going to be doing a 50-minute race at the Charlotte Roval. So it's a totally different atmosphere going to that race from this race. And we're going to see that all season long. But these guys battling hard as looks like Filipowicz went off track for a second, but got it back together. But that's allowed Rob Shoemaker to catch up to the back of him. So we got a battle for 5th place in GTE-AM with Josh Wilkie right behind him.
As I try and find that, this looks pretty hairy here as Wilkie coming in, and this is not the best time for him to catch him. The exit there is not bad. Wow!
Oh!
Contact, Jared.
And I don't think Filipowicz saw him down there, and Wilkie was trying to guard off Shoemaker, and totally lost sight of the LMP2 driver as Shoemaker's all over the back bumper of that Porsche.
Wow, he was squeezing Wilkie out to the wall. Like you said, I don't think he really realized what he was doing, and Wilkie just barely slipped by there. That was almost disaster.
Theo Taylor, or Matt Filipowicz, sorry, those guys on the same team, the Proton Boogie Sim Sports. They used to be the CD Sloths, changed their name, changed their paint up a little bit here, and but they're doing a good job. We got Nick Dicesare in the background now, so this battle going to get another LMP2 coming in.
Yeah, these guys, it just doesn't stop out here for anybody. So you got to be on your, your wits, if you will, all night long.
And then we bring up the battle box. Look at these top speeds for the LMP2s. Wilkie, 178 miles an hour is the fastest. And you look at Filipowicz, Shoemaker, they're doing 160 miles an hour. That shows you just how much of a difference it is between these prototypes and these GTEs.
Yeah, definitely. There's just a huge difference, and it's really all straightaway speed. I mean, there's a slight cornering advantage maybe, but the straightaway speeds are just amazing. So that closing rate is, something like we just seen happen. You're just not prepared for how quickly these cars will come up on you.
You're exactly right. Looking back through some of these other battles here, Brian Bliss doing a great job holding down the third podium position in the GTE-AM class in that Ferrari, the only Ferrari out here tonight, doing a really good job. Wanted to check in on him as he was battling some ailments here tonight, but looks to be doing a pretty good job in that Ferrari.
Yeah, Brian Bliss having a really nice showing, the only Ferrari on the track that I'm aware of, at least in the amateur class, and just phenomenal to see him up here in third ahead of Rex Hoyle.
He's got about, let's bring up the battle box here and see exactly how much we got. But
he's got about 30 seconds on Hoyle, so that's quite a gap he's got.
Yeah, it is. Very, very big gap on Rex Hoyle there. So he's doing a good job in that Ferrari. And we look back, Joe Flanagan in the Corvette, kind of having a rough night in the GTE Pro Series, but hanging in there, no incidents, and that's the Joe Flanagan way. He'll try to get those bonus points for clean driver.
Yeah, don't be surprised if he picks up a couple of spots later on in this race. Flanagan is prepared for the long haul. He's going to be here all night. He's going to turn every lap. And, maybe the rest of them you can't say that for. Hard to say.
But right now, Dean, I mean, you look at the rest of these guys. Rex Hoyle doing a great job. A little bit of a battle back here for 4th, 5th, and 6th in class as Hoyle, Bellinger, and Burghdoff all right there. That's for 4th in the GTE-AM class.
Yeah, it's probably the best battle on the track as Hoyle all over the back of Joe Flanagan. But again, very difficult, especially within the same class, to make any kind of pass here.
So we got Hoyle, Bellinger, Burghdoff, and just ahead of them, Flanagan. These guys all battling for GTE-AM 4th in class. Rex Hoyle making his debut, Bellinger making his debut, and Burghdoff won last week at Circuit of the Americas.
Right now, Jared, why don't we take a minute, take a short break here,
yeah,
and come back and get this thing back up and going.
We're going to take a short break here in the 120 minutes of Sebring, brought to you by Hard Dick's Hop and Ale. Check those guys out on Facebook at Hard Dick's Hop and Ale. Awesome little brand there. We'll be right back after this brief break.
Hey, wake up.
All right, we are back live here at Sebring International Raceway. The 120 minutes of Sebring as we approach minute number 49 here of 120. We are back live here at Sebring International Raceway. And
there's been a ton of action while we're gone, as usual, Jared. You take a little break and the action heats up. We've seen, well, we didn't see, actually, is a couple of cars. I know Rex Hoyle got off track, and that was a bit of a problem.
Now let's take a look at that replay here. Rex Hoyle battling with Burghdoff and Bellinger, let him go, and then in the process of letting them go, actually kind of gets on the one of those rumble strips there and into the wall. Not a lot of damage, but now he's gonna have to work his way back from that off-track incident.
Yeah, he's got a ton of work to do there. Other things heating up. I think there's Donnie Staubitz is making a run on Dana Herron. No surprise there, as in the Pro Series. Now he's only 7.5 seconds back from Micheal Blackner, our leader. If we look in on his last lap time, Donnie Staubitz with a 158 flat, his fastest lap of the race, and that's about almost 2 seconds faster than our leader, Micheal Blackner.
Yeah, we bring up the time delta between him and Dana Herron at the same time, and you'll see that this thing has come down from 4.3 seconds to 2.1. So Donnie Staubitz making a gain here. That'd be amazing to see if Donnie can grab a win here. He's a great road racer. Sebring, not one of his best or favorite tracks, is what he was telling me the other day, but always solid when he comes and races, no matter where he's at.
Yeah, he's proven himself, and proven himself to me anyway. This man can drive on a road racing circuit, and he's doing a whale of a job out here representing well.
Yeah, he is part of the part-timers racing team for this series, but that gap now down to 1.889 there, so he is getting it done.
Yeah, I mean, lap after lap, he is turning the fastest laps right now. So Micheal Blackner, again, we don't know about the strategy here. There's always strategy to come in. So try and look in on the pit laps for these guys.
And we look at the pit laps here. Got down there, lap 16 for all three of those drivers.
Yeah, so no real strategy to be played there. All of our strategy is in the P2 class there. And it's all about Wilkie on that lap 17 pit. And all of a sudden, Wilkie down to 3.3, 3.4 seconds back of Koontz here.
Yep, he is. And then we also in the GTE-AM class, Eric Burghdoff making his second stop here on lap 24. So he is down the way, trying a little bit different. So I respect Eric going out here and trying to make something a little bit different on the strategy here tonight.
Definitely. Yeah, Burghdoff, you're right. That's a different strategy completely from everybody, and I really like the call, especially if you're out here, Jerry. You come out, maybe you don't have all the time in the world on the track, or you just not totally up to speed. Why not do this? Why not? You're going to find yourself more alone on the track, especially early on. You're going to be able to just turn some laps, get to know the track a little bit better, and perhaps the strategy catapults you 3-4 spots up the standings.
Yeah, you're exactly right. But right now, the AM class, if we could call it that, those guys first and third overall in the GTE class, Daren, Snyder, Ryan Pagel. Blackner has gotten around while we were at break around Daren Snyder to put himself back up into second overall in the GTEs overall. But right now, Dean, the battle, as we talked about, you take a look at Matt Koontz, 5-second lead over Josh Wilkie. It's kind of been stabilizing, but they're going to come up into some traffic pretty soon.
Yeah, the all-important traffic. And the gap actually has widened again, Jared. I mean, it could be just a scoring problem where it is, but it looks like all of a sudden Koontz has picked up almost 3 seconds over the last lap here. Not sure what's happened there.
Looks like I am showing that it is up to 6 seconds.
Yeah, it was down to 3 something the last time we looked, so a little bit of a disparity there, or it could be my memory. I'm getting a little bit older. Who knows?
So it looks like there was some slowness from Josh Wilkie as he was trying to get around one of the GTE drivers. Might have held him up just a little bit there. don't see any off tracks, but it's that's kind of part of the racing. You're gonna have a lot of guys coming and going as far as the different strategies, and then also catching those drivers at the right time.
Yeah, well, we've seen it several times tonight now, so it shouldn't surprise me that much, I guess. But these big swings of up to 3 seconds like that, it just shows you how important setting these drivers up to hit them at the right point in the track. I mean, you almost want to lay back and lose a second just to so you can catch them on a straightaway instead of losing that 2 or 3 seconds of catching them, through multiple turns.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Joe Flanagan goes off track, Dean. So his streak of no incidents is over, but still doing a good job. But he is in sixth in class, just ahead of Matt Filipowicz, who is in the pits with some damage that he has sustained on a couple laps ago while we were at break.
Put the old commentator's curse on Joe one more time, and that seems to be quite common. If we bring something up, it'll be broken.
There you go. Now we take a look real quick at the weather. Now this is a day to night transition race. Track temp at the beginning of this was 91 degrees. It's down to, it was 85 degrees in my notes. It's up to 87. We're approaching 4 o'clock in game. So, Dean, it's getting close.
Getting close. Going to be very interesting to see who handles this change the best. And, it's going to change visually. You might be able to not see your marks or see different marks better. It's going to change a lot for these guys, and I'm looking forward to see who deals with it the best.
You're exactly right. We're looking at sunset about 6:30 in game. So that'll be in about another half an hour of real time. So that's going to be fun to see here what these guys can do. Actually, it's not going to be half an hour. It's going to be about 20 minutes. So something to look forward here. But right now, these guys getting into that point in the race, Dean, hour in, pit stops are going to come up. What are you kind of thinking as this race is getting to its halfway point as far as what is your strategy? Are you just out here trying to nurse this thing, or do you save your tricks to the end?
Oh my, I mean, if you're talking me, that's a totally different thing from reality. I'm trying to survive with my body and my mind and my eyeballs. But nonetheless, these guys here, you've really got to put some thought into it, but you have to have already thought of it. This is not really an adjustment type of thing. You have to have a planned strategy. This is a timed race. There's no cautions out here that I'm aware of. So you're going to have to be out here with a plan. It looks like Wilkie was in best suited position plan wise. He's got 2 laps later pit stop. This could add up over time to be a one-hole stop. If it does, this race would be his if he went mistake free. But for other guys, you really got to do the math. You got to know if they pit it on lap 15, how many stops is that? How much gas do I need? Maybe I can take a little less and be a little faster. Stuff like that you got to be aware of.
Yeah, and that's a good point as we get down to that hour left in this race. Wow. Getting down to it, though, for sure. Micheal Blackner leading in the GTE-Pro class. Ryan Pagel leading in the GTE-AM class. And then we have Daren Snyder in second place in the AM class. And then we have Dana Herron. Donnie Staubitz, that's where the battle is. Donnie Staubitz has pretty much caught Dana Herron. 1.3 seconds between those two drivers.
Yeah, Donnie Staubitz continues to move forward here. He is now going to be in a battle here, and a tough one at that with Dana Herron. So this could slow his progress down as Micheal Blackner now starting to turn in the fastest laps once again. He just ran a 158.3. Donnie Staubitz a 159.3. So, you're going to have a tough battle here on your hands, and you're going to lose some time to Micheal Blackner.
It looks like Paul Romanensky, our other LMP2 driver, has gone off track and hit the wall and has had to pit. If we can get an update on that, we'll get that to you as soon as possible as we keep on this battle for second in class GTE Pro.
Yeah, I'll get a look in on Paul. It looks like he's just going around a different class car pretty safely, actually, no problem there. And he just blew a corner coming through what I would call the S's, Jared. I'm not sure what the name of them is. He went straight through the corner and into the tire wall. Tough break.
Hard impact for Paul Romanensky there, making his debut race there But that car, he can get that car repaired, get some maybe get some points out of this still. Looking back here, Dane, it's still getting, the gap has come down even more. It's down to under a second between Herron and Staubitz. And Daren locks it up going in through turn 1, out to the grass, and Staubitz is there. Staubitz is going to take over second place.
Wow, and Herron did a nice job coming back on track, not losing control. Very easy to lose it there, but that is really going to help Donnie Staubitz, who now is just under 10 seconds back of Micheal Blackner. Got some clean track, which that could have took him 5-10 laps to get around Herron. Herron really giving him a gift there.
Matt Koontz is in, so our leader overall, the LMP2 driver, Matt Koontz, is in pits. Josh Wilkie is going to go by on the outside here, so Wilkie moving on up into the lead again. And then we have Nick Dicesare. He's going to stay out and continue on. So now, Dean, second pit stop in, 1 hour into this race. So that means these guys probably have one more stop to go. And in these LMP2, it'd be interesting to see if Koontz takes tires this time.
Yeah, it is interesting whether he takes tires or not. But the other interesting thing is he was, early on, he was in third place, driving very conservative and losing time to the top two. He then became a race leader. And I got to tell you, Jared, not just our leader, but the fastest in the class. He had opened up a 9-second gap there before these pit stops. So Koontz is really coming around, and a really decent quick pit stop here.
So Koontz, again, not taking any tires in this race. Now, at Daytona, there was the option to do a triple stint on tires. That race a little bit longer. Sebring a little bit more demanding. So we'll see if anybody will take an opportunity to take some tires. But Koontz, not one of those drivers. We look back in the GTE class, Dean. It looks like Rex Hoyle in and out of the pits. He did take tires on his stop. Joe Flanagan might have taken tires, but he also might have gotten some damage repaired on that machine as he's kind of close to that threshold.
Yeah, you can really tell when you look at those pit times. Rex Hoyle with a 47.4. So we'll see how that plays out. Looks like most of the guys behind him taking tires, except for Escobar. So we'll see how it all plays out.
So Joseph Bellinger's taking tires. He is down the way. Escobar staying out with just fuel only in that Corvette. Doing a good job back there. We haven't talked a lot about Yario, but he's doing a great job in 5th place. Trying to chase down Rex Hoyle, who is just ahead of him for the battle for 4th in GTE-AM. He finished 3rd last week, or 2 weeks ago, at Circuit of the Americas, looking to grab his first career win.
You talked about Escobar sitting 5th in the points in his class, and he's got an opportunity here to jump up to 3rd place. He probably will. So good little race for him. We always say, Jared, if we don't mention you, it's probably because you're having a good race.
And he is. He's having a great drive here tonight. Just ahead of Eric Burghdoff, who has had to play catch up from the beginning. He's had to start off 2nd on the grid in his class and went off track at the beginning, dropped all the way to the back, and has had to work his way back up to the front. He's on the back of Escobar now, within about well, no, that's right. That is not Escobar in front of him.
Dicesare is in.
Dicesare is in. So
That's
somebody.
Good short stop for Dicesare. So no tires there either.
There's Escobar coming out of the pits. That's why we lost sight of him right in front of Dicesare. Brian Bliss also in that battle. Brian still doing a great job. I like Brian. He's a good guy. I like to see him doing well as he lets Rex Hoyle go around. Now, Rex Hoyle has made his pit stop. Rex Hoyle has made his pit stop. Has not made his pit stop. Brian Bliss has. There we go. Finally got it out.
Yeah, Bliss has made the pit stop on lap 30. Hoyle and the 2 leaders on lap 16, so still to come in. So, yeah, Brian Bliss really doing a whale of a job. Let's give him some credit, some due for being a good driver. I mean, he is really showing he can do some road racing as well. He's been looking great out here tonight.
Yeah, he is very consistent. Hasn't got off the track too much here tonight, and that's what really it comes down to is we have Wilkie and Taylor in the pits now.
Yeah, Theo Taylor. Haven't talked too much about him. He had a little incident early in the race, I believe, and it caused him some problems. So he's had a bit of a rough night, but he's still got time to make up some spots here and get a few more points here tonight.
And this is the IMSA points system, so it's 35 for a win, 3-point difference down until about 6th place, and then it's 1-point difference. So there is some big points to pick up if he can get ahead of Shoemaker or Dana Herron here, especially since he's in 2nd place in points, and the point leader, Micheal Blackner, is leading this race by 9 seconds over Donnie Staubitz. But Dean, that gap is coming down, so if Donnie Staubitz can maybe pull some pit strategy here, he might be able to jump and get, or not maybe jump, but get closer to Micheal Blackner.
He might. I'm watching Wilkie right now on pit road, Jared. Looks like Wilkie taking tires because he is sitting in here forever.
Yeah, the jack just dropped. We were on board Wilkie there. So Josh Wilkie is going to take tires, and this is going to be crucial to see if this is going to pay off for him. We know that the triple stint is possible, but maybe you split this thing up, take some tires in the middle. Now we've got a race on our hands.
Yeah, this is back to work for Wilkie. I mean, he's got 30 seconds to make up. So we'll see here because we haven't noticed a whole lot of difference in lap times as of yet. Koontz running those 148s pretty consistently, as was everybody else. Be interesting to see what Wilkie can do with some fresh rubber.
This is going to come down to it as this race transpires. Looking back through some of these other drivers, bunch of drivers in now. Look at the pit road. It is packed down there, Dean. We got Blackner, Pagel, Snyder, Herron, Staubitz all in.
Yeah, Pagel already coming out, looking good. I can't believe the job he's done. There goes Blackner. Nice quick stop for him.
Staubitz on pit exit as well. Blackner leaving. Shoemaker coming in. Little congestion there at the exit of pit road. Donnie Staubitz able to beat Daren Snyder off, so that's huge, as that's one less car he has to deal with, and he has got a little bit of a gap down, it looks like.
I'm telling you, Donnie Staubitz, everything has been falling his way. You had Herron, who kind of lost it in front of him, which allowed him to pass without really losing any time. Now he gets Snyder on pit road. That's fantastic. So Donnie, everything falling his way. We'll see now if he can catch Micheal Blackner, currently about 9.2 seconds back.
9.2 seconds. Another pit stop is going to be in the offering for these drivers 16 laps from now. So that's going to be something else to keep an eye on. And you look at this, none of these GTE drivers taking tires for the most part, but Rob Shoemaker decided to take tires back there. So a little bit interesting strategy in the 6 machine.
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, you know, for me, I think tires would be all right, but lap times are going to dictate everything, Jared. And I'm just not seeing the drop off that would allow you to take tires.
And we're looking here, last lap time. Let's see if we have enough data to get the last lap time. We do not yet, but we will check in on Wilkie. So last time, when he comes around this time around, we'll have some information as far as if those new tires are actually going to do something for him here.
Like I take someone like Koontz out front. He just ran a 148.5 on old tires. I don't think anybody's really going to beat that. You look in the best time, and, you know, it's a 147.9. That's just not that huge of a difference.
Now let's take a look at that. So we have our last lap time. In the first column, the best lap, so 147.9 for Koontz, 148.5 for the last time. Wilkie's best lap was a 148.1. Now his last lap is a pit lap time, so we'll see what it is when it comes across the lines. Down the back straightaway now. Really whipping it through those S-curves there, Dean. And it looks like a fast lap, but we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, I'm not expecting his best time on his, you know, one of his first laps on these fresh tires, but you never know. But I would imagine he's maybe going to be a second faster, but, you know, is it going to equal 30 seconds of track time? I don't know.
Let's see what it is as he comes across the line now. And Dean's probably right here. Probably won't be his best lap of the race, but he's going to have to put down a good lap nonetheless. It's a 148.3. That's not bad. And Koontz did a 150 flat.
Yeah, 150 flat, but, you know, you have traffic on different laps. Koontz is running about 148.5s, Jared, right now. So this is not, I don't believe this is a race-winning move. I just don't think it is. We're going to see. I mean, we got another hour to go almost. So it might be towards the end. I mean, at some time, Koontz has got to fall off. Those tires have to give way. And he'll either need to get a set or for the rest of the race, Koontz is going to have those better tires. So it'll still be interesting.
And yeah, you're exactly right, Dean. It is. I mean, that's why multi-class racing is so awesome. Oh, and Tony Soler and Theo Taylor got together, Dean. We caught the end of that, but those two drivers might have gotten some damage out of that. See if we can get an update on that.
Get a look in on that for sure. Oh, and it looks like, I think that's Theo Taylor coming in hot on Tony Soler and just got into him. I mean, he just lost control of the vehicle, Jared. Very reckless move from Theo Taylor, and that's going to hurt Tony Soler quite a bit.
Let's look at this replay here. And so Tony, yeah, he just got in there hot, got over the bumps there, and Tony was just kind of an innocent bystander there in the 74. Tough break. I don't think he got too much damage out of that and should be able to get going, but not something you like to see when you're kind of an innocent bystander there.
No, and it happens. I mean, we're not putting, everything on Theo there, but, it's just tough. You're trying to make a move, you overcook it a bit, and then there's no escape the wreck, and the unfortunate bystander is the one who pays usually the most.
And he locks it up there again in front of the prototype of Matt Koontz. Or Wilkie, yeah.
Yeah, locking it up there again, so perhaps needing to take a minute to gather himself up here as he's having all kinds of problems.
And, the thing is, he was up in second place in this race at one point in time, and, when you make a little mistake, it kind of, for me sometimes, and he's got damage. That car is just not turning at all right now. He's going to have to pit, and that's a tough break for Theo Taylor, but sometimes you're trying to get time back and you end up losing time.
Yeah, well, we see it a lot from your leader types, right? Guys who are running up front or second or third or something, they have a problem, and it is so much more frustrating than if you're a back marker and you have a problem. You're like, I know I'd have a problem, but when you're a front runner, you work so hard to get, say, a tenth of a second or 5 seconds over many laps. And that one mistake, you lose it all. The frustration, you just can't shake it out of your head. Then you start to compound it with more and more mistakes.
And you're exactly right, Dean. And you look at these guys, and I think that's what's going on with Taylor. Looks like he's got it going again. Might not have to pit for anything. Check back in at the lead, their P2 class here. Koontz, 27-second lead over Wilkie right now. So Wilkie putting down some great laps, but Dean, like you said, is it good enough?
Yeah, I mean, he's about a second faster, just under, about 0.8 faster the last lap. I'm not sure what Koontz is, if he had traffic at all or whatever. As look in on Koontz, Jared, he's got some traffic now, so this is really going to hinder him. He's caught it in the wrong place as well.
Yeah, he's got Bellinger, the debutant GTE-AM driver, and he's got the GTE-AM leader, Ryan Pagel, there in this group here. So these guys not battling for position on the track, but nonetheless, Pagel putting Bellinger a lap down in class.
Koontz, I think, realizing the situation, much more aggressive than he was earlier in the race, much more comfortable to make those moves. Great job by Koontz clearing that, really not losing any time, surprisingly enough, to Wilkie, who probably had his own battles to deal with.
And we look at Josh Wilkie. Yep, he just had to work around Rex Hoyle. So he's got a little bit of a clear track here, but still some drivers in front of him. And somebody locked up there. I think that was Dana Herron. It was Dana Herron, Paul Romanensky, who's back on track, and Joe Flanagan all in this group of battle.
There is a lot going on out here, Jared.
This is a little bit of a gaggle, Dean. Gaggle. Josh Wilkie in this group as well. Daren Snyder. So there's some lead drivers in class in this battle here.
There definitely is. And it's, these are mixed classes all together fighting. And, I looked in on Daren Snyder there. There's a car down on the inside letting people go as well.
That's Joe Flanagan there.
Flanagan, yeah. So there's a lot to deal with, and this is what we talk about with multi-class racing, Jared. I mean, I don't know if I'm in the cockpit whether I like it or not, but it sure does bring some other elements into what you have to deal with on the track. And, your mental toughness, because you're going to have to deal with things you usually wouldn't have to.
Yeah, and you're exactly right, Dean, and that's what makes it fun and entertaining. Also, at the same time, we're starting to get to the sunset era of this race, and we're going to be watching Sunset Bend turn 17 because the sun can be very bright here. It looks like it's a little bit cloudy out there, so we might not get the full effect, but it's definitely going to make another challenge for these drivers as it transitions tonight here.
Oh, it's going to be a challenge, no doubt. I've just flipped over to the pit lane camera, and you can kind of tell from that camera just how dull the sky's getting to be, and it'll really darken up. It's only going to get worse for these guys, or better, depending on how you look at it.
Exactly right, Dean. And we check in on the leader of the GTE-AM class. 24-second lead for Ryan Pagel over Daren Snyder. So this has become Ryan Pagel's race to lose here so far tonight in that Corvette. In the GT-Pro class, Blackner has reopened the lead up to 11 seconds over Donnie Staubitz. But Donnie has really kind of pulled himself into second place and stuck himself there.
Yeah, Donnie has done a great job getting into second, but Micheal really calmed himself down here, turning in very impressive lap times at this point in the race. And I'm not sure you're going to be able to catch him. But maybe you can enlighten me, Jared. If we look in on Donnie Staubitz's car, are his lights on or off? Because I'm seeing cars, some with them on and some with them off, but they might not actually be off.
Yeah, so that is, those lights are on. The Corvette has some LEDs on the a little bit different lights in the daytime. You'll see it more prevalent at night, but those are some outside LED lights there, daytime running lights on that Corvette. So he does have some lights there, but when this thing goes to dark here in the next 15-20 minutes, we'll really see the lights pop on that Corvette.
Yeah, speaking of that Corvette, sharp-looking vehicle there. Really like the look of that thing. Mean-looking machine.
Yeah, Blackwater Products on the side of that machine. Shout out to them who sponsors the Truck Series here at Full Throttle Sim Racing. And he's going to let Paul Romanensky go, but doing a good job there. Back a little bit further, Dana Herron kind of by himself now. He's got a 32-second lead over Theo Taylor. Taylor a lead over Shoemaker. So the Pro class kind of starting to die down a little bit, but the AM class, there's still a lot to play for these guys. Bellinger in this battle with Burghdoff here as well. They're going to be battling for fourth place here in a little bit. Rex Hoyle there as well.
Yeah, Burghdoff, we haven't talked about him too much, except for we said he had some strategy. Now, remember, he was down in the standings quite a bit. So whatever strategy he was playing, I mean, I could have it backwards. There's probably no doubt on that. But nonetheless, he looks to be having a nice night here, up to fourth place now.
Yeah, Eric Burghdoff doing a great job. Spun off at the very beginning of the race, dropped all the way to the end of the field, and has had to work his way back. But shout out to Eric, sponsoring tonight's race with Hard Dick's Hoppin' Ale, a local brewery in his area. And then we also have Spirit of America Racing sponsoring as well tonight. So shout out to Eric, having a solid run in fourth place.
And Jared, just to speak on that strategy, I don't know where I was going with it, but he has pitted on lap 24. Everybody, I mean, our two leaders on lap 32, Brian Bliss on 30. So he's on an off strategy for sure.
And Eric has been
on his first stop.
Yeah, and you look at Eric, he was a guy that was in the servers last week, in the servers last night. And, he was running a lot of strategy. I could tell he was running some strategy. And I think that the big thing is, some drivers work ahead and they just pit when they run out of gas. Some drivers look at, the end of the race and start working backwards. And I believe Eric's doing that, trying to get to a certain number early in the race and letting this thing play out at the end.
Yeah, well, you think 40 minutes is your pit stop if you had two pit stops, right? And then an hour and 20. And I think that's where he's at. He's going to try and stretch this another 2 minutes and whatever that may be, another lap or so. And then he'll come in and that'll be his last stop. And I think it's going to pay off for him. He's down spots on the night, but it's so hard to tell on our ticker because there's multi-class racing going on. So, but in fourth place, I like the call. I always like it when people do something different.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Let's take a look at the gain. So he is down 2 spots in class from where he started. Bliss is up 7 spots from where he started in class, started 10th. He's up to 3rd place, so shout out to Brian Bliss. Cornthwaite, tough break looks like he's got some damage out of the race right now. Dropped 4 positions. That's the GTE-AM class. We switch over to the Pro class, and Blackner and Heron, no change. Donnie Staubitz, the big gainer there, up 4 spots in class.
Yeah, and 9 spots overall for Donnie, having a whale of a race. But let's talk more about Micheal Blackner, our leader, the 22. I mean, he's been winning here on circuit on a regular basis, just doing a masterful job. He had one little incident when an LMP car came by him, kind of spooked him, if you will, whatever. But other than that, another solid race for Micheal Blackner, and he looks great out here.
And Dean, our pitch strategy guy, Eric Burghdoff, is in at hour and 20 minutes.
Right on cue. He's coming in. Now, this might be, he's going to be in jeopardy here because he's a minute early. So I don't know how much that affects it, how close he is on that tank, but it's going to be close at the end, I would imagine.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, he's going to get lapped probably 1 or 2 more times by these LMP drivers. So that's part of it, too. The other thing, too, is it's 2 hour, 120 minutes plus 1 lap. So when the race gets to 2 hours, the LMP driver takes the white flag. So that's something else that these drivers have to calculate in.
Yeah, it is. And it's not only do you have to calculate it during the race, but if you're on a specific strategy, you may fall or try to gain a certain spot on the track where you don't have to go around as much. I don't know. Is that possible, Jared?
That is possible. You're exactly right. You see an LMP2 coming up and you're short on fuel, you're going to let that LMP2 go and see if you don't have to complete another lap.
You know, I want to get back to someone else, though, and Brian Bliss in that 18 machine. He's up 11 spots overall on the night. I don't know how many in class, probably 5 or 6 or something.
7.
But 7 even. What a night, man. I'm very impressed with this Ferrari machine, the 18. Just doing an excellent job, man. He's driving his ass off here tonight.
He is doing a whale of a job. Does have a little damage on the left front of that Ferrari. Another Blackwater product sponsored machine there. Just the red and black Ferrari Blackwater products on that one. But number 18 doing a good job. Trying to get his first podium finish of the year. And Dean, he's doing a good job. And if it wasn't for Pagel and Snyder, he might be winning this class.
Well, yeah, and you look at who's beating him, right? Pagel, who's beating all GTA drivers as an amateur. So Bliss is saying he's not even an amateur. He's a pro. I don't even count him. Snyder also with 3rd or 4th overall, only 2 pro drivers in front of him. So he's a heck of a driver as well. And I mean, a big shout out to Bliss. I'm not taking anything away from Pagel. Pagel's blowing my mind leading the entire division.
Yeah, mine as well. Pagel did win the second race of the year at Monza in the GTE-AM class, but it was a tough battle between him and Eric Burghdoff there in that race, and those guys were, I think, 5th and 6th overall. So this is a coming out party for Ryan Pagel tonight, really showing that he can be a top competitor as the sun continues to set here at Sebring, getting that nice sepia glow out there, if you will. I caught a little flash off the Budweiser sign as some cars went through that area. Just a nice look, and some of these visuals are just going to get better and better, Jared. Yeah, and this is a tight battle. Micheal Blackner coming up on some GTE lap traffic. That's Theo Taylor. He's going to put a lap down. Actually, no, that's Matthew Filipowicz. He's put a lap down. He's got Joseph Bellinger in front of him. And Ryan Pagel not too far in front of Blackner. So Blackner reeling in our overall leader right now.
Yeah, I mean, only 3 seconds, and Blackner's been working hard. I mean, once he gets focused, if you look in on his last lap time, Blackner ran a 1:58.4, and Pagel ran a 2:01. So Pagel dealing with some issues, probably some traffic or something, but almost 3 seconds that lap alone for Micheal Blackner.
You're exactly right. And there, like we said before, there is some incentive for a GTE-AM driver to win the overall GTE class. Bonus points at stake, which helps them out in their class. So it's, Blackner, it doesn't really affect him if Pagel wins this or not, but Pagel can definitely come out of here with 5 extra points for winning overall GTE.
Pagel, what he's going to come out of here more than anything is with everybody's respect and how he can drive. Blackner getting a little out of shape there.
My goodness, he was out of shape. We got some drivers on pit road, as you see Romaninski and Bellinger go down on the grass a little bit there, but no harm, no foul.
Yeah, I didn't see who that was, but behind them, they looked like they were a little out of shape there.
Filipowicz going to let him go, Po Romanowski go. And those guys are actually on the same team, Proton Boogie Sim Sports. Mark Romanowski is on that other team. He is not here tonight, but he also drives a GTE Porsche. I hope to have Mark back in here shortly, but doing a good job here. Filipowicz got in that early incident, and he's just out there trying to collect some points here tonight.
He is. And up front there, Jared, you got Wilkie starting to reel in Dicesare here, and he's only about a second and a half back now, so he's starting to make a little progress. I'm not sure those tires have shown their might yet, but looking good out here.
Last lap, Dean, Wilkie went purple. Fastest lap overall in the race, 1:47.3. So Josh Wilkie throwing down some big laps, but, you know, like we said, is there enough time to really make it work for him? Because he's got a whale of a gap to catch up to Koontz.
Well, maybe this is where his tires are starting to show their might with a lighter fuel load now starting to happen. He's starting to get that speed up. And we know Koontz, it's only going to get worse for Koontz as this goes on, as those tires continue to wear. So who knows? Maybe it could, but he's got to get by Dicesare first.
And this is, we're getting down to the end of this thing now, Dean. The last little portion of this race, 5 minutes till 90 minutes in. So this is getting down to it. And we still have battles all over the track, if you can believe that. Multi-class racing never ceases to amaze me on the amount of battles you have throughout the entire race, as Wilkie goes a little bit wide there, trying to taste down Dicesare.
Yeah, he is really pushing here. And this is that tough spot. You know, you always hear me talk about it, that last gap, as he does a great job under braking and closing a big chunk of that. Here he does it again. He's closing fast.
And right in front of him, you have Eric Burghdoff, Tony Soler, Yario Escobar. So these guys, could play an influence as Dicesare is going to look underneath Burghdoff here going into Sunset Bend.
Wow, this is so dangerous here. Great job by everybody involved so far.
And that's a bumpy area. The car really gets really light in that area, as Tony Soler does a good job getting out of the way. So does Eric Burghdoff. And the two LMPs will go through. Yario Escobar next up on the list. 6th place in GTE-AM for these two LMP drivers. He gets out of the way. Professional move there for Yario. Doesn't want any part of that.
Yeah, you know, I like it when guys recognize when they're not really in any battle of their own. Just kind of get right out of the way. Don't have, but get completely out of the way.
And Tony Soler goes off track. Didn't hit anything. Just kind of missed turn number 3 there. Gets it going again. But Dean, you look at Dicesare and Wilkie. If you're Josh Wilkie, you have the optimal tire strategy right now. How hard do you push Dicesare here? Or do you just kind of ride around here as long as he's not costing you too much time to Koontz?
If you want to win, you push completely here. You've got to. And you see him keep showing in his mirror. He's looking inside. He has no intention of taking that spot there. He wants to just keep showing them, look, I'm here. And eventually he's going to make an aggressive braking move. And he has to. I mean, unless you're points racing, you want to win. That's your only thing. And if he wants to win, he's got to get around him. He's got to do it here in the next couple of minutes.
Go on board Dicesare here. Sun is getting down there. Track temp down to 80 degrees, Dean. That's 9 degrees from our starting temperature this morning when practice started. So we're getting into some cool, grippy conditions here as Wilkie is on the back end as they go past that DRS sign. Maybe he can make a move as Flanagan heads to pit road in the GTEs.
Man, he wishes he had DRS, but he's going to make that move down to the inside here.
Into Sunset Bend, underneath Dicesare, and he's going to take over 2nd place, so put Josh Wilkie 2nd in class, 2nd overall. And he's breaking the draft down the front straightaway, knows Dicesare's trying to come back at him in turn 1. And yeah, Dicesare's there.
Dicesare was there, bad angle into the corner though, but he knew, like Dicesare, his teammate is Koontz. So, although that doesn't play too much, you're not going to cut any slack to a guy who's trying to chase down your teammate, and he also wants that spot. But Wilkie, watch out now. Some clear track, 22, almost 23 seconds behind. He's gained, I guess he was 30 back, so he's gained 7 seconds, Jared, and we got a half hour of racing left.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Not to mention there are championships within championships. There's the Endurance Cup, the FTSR Cup, and the Sprint Cup. We haven't ran any sprint races yet. So, Wilkie's still alive in that Endurance Cup for Macon Daytona. So he is still got some points to battle for in this race, even if the overall championship might be a little bit behind right now because of missing 2 races. The Endurance Cup, definitely not.
You can see where those tires come into play, Jared, through those tight turns and that section of the track, sector 1 and the section they just went through. That's where Wilkie really shows his might. And this, I don't know, ultimately, this could be the big decision, him getting those tires on his second stop.
And this could be huge as you see the sun really starting to set now. We go on board. Let's go on board Mr. Josh Wilkie here as he's heading into Sunset Bend. Dean, look at the glare coming down that back straightaway right now.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's different. And like I said, this is going to change some of your viewing, your markers you have for the set for these corners. Guys got to pick appropriate ones when these day to night transitions are that won't be affected by these. If you pick something that's on track, you might lose it completely.
And Nick Dicesare going to abandon ship, going to head to pit road. Be interesting to see if he elects to take tires. I think that strategy's kind of out the window at this point with Wilkie already taking the tires now, but we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, I would say it's that strategy is gone for Nick Dicesare, if I could ever get it right. But Nick, anyway, in the 00, he's probably just going to come in, fuel up, and get out of there.
You're exactly right. Well, we're 90 minutes in to the 120 minutes of Sebring presented by Hard Dicks Hop and Ale. Check those guys out on Facebook at Hard Dicks Ale and Cider. Those guys do a great product local up in the Northeast there. And also shout out to Spirit of America Racing and Asphalt Motorsports for sponsoring tonight's event. We're going to take a under 30-minute to go break, and we'll be right back after these messages to get the conclusion of tonight's 120 minutes of Sebring. All right, we are back live here at Sebring, and the lights are on at the Sebring International Racecourse here as we are coming up on the final 25 minutes of this race, Dean. Right now, Josh Wilkie leading after Matt Koontz makes a pit under our break here, and continuing Brian Pagel leading GTE-AM and Micheal Blackner leading GTE-Pro.
Yeah, right now the story of the race, at least one of the stories of the race, Wilkie still out on track leading the P2 class here, and he's turned a 148.3 in his last lap. I'm not sure Koontz still has not turned an official lap on the after his pit stop, but Wilkie continuing to open that gap up to 33, now 34 seconds. Can he come out of his pits closer? And he's in now.
Wilkie's in. We see him going underneath the Corvette bridge there. Donnie Staubitz, I believe, is following him in. Micheal Blackner also in. And those guys really close together. If Donnie Staubitz can make something happen here on this pit stop, he might be able to gain some time. And we see Brian Bliss going by. He just pitted while we went to break there. This is going to be a big pit stop, Dean.
Yeah, it's a big pit stop. Not sure. I think Michael's still there. Donnie's still there. So, yeah, it's a big pit stop. Donnie could make up some time here.
Blackner with a quick stop, 18.1. And we look at the LMP2 battle, and we see it on the track. Koontz is coming around right now. Wilkie's still in the pits. Koontz is taking over the lead.
You see Blackner with that 18 and Staubitz with an 18.9. So Koontz is taking that back, and that's, you know, it's almost heartbreaking as hard as Wilkie's working that he's still behind, but he has closed a ton of time.
Yeah, 10 seconds that he gained just on that pit strategy. Now he's got to throw the laps down. He had a 3-second quicker pit stop than Koontz, so he's still gaining time. He's behind Donnie Staubitz, unfortunately, who had a little bit quicker time. The GTE driver cars can take fuel quicker than the LMP2 cars can because it's a two-fuel system for the LMP2 cars. So it takes a little bit longer to fuel those. So he actually lost a little bit of time behind Staubitz. But now, 12 seconds, 24 minutes. He's got to get it done, but it's going to be a tough one.
It is, but there's a couple things at play here. Number one, the tires, of course. He has taken tires during this race, has Wilkie, so he's in better shape there. He's 2 laps later on the pit stop. Now, that has a minor influence on those pit times because it's the thinking, man. We've seen that with Blackner and Staubitz as well. I don't think they took a full fuel load. They had a very impressive pit times. I think the same could be said for Wilkie. I'm not so sure about Koontz with that 26.8. That looks like he filled it up. This could be a big advantage to Wilkie.
Leader in GTE Pro, Dana Herron, taking over that position. He's heading to the pits now, so he will relinquish the lead here shortly. But Dana Herron doing a good job in his first race in the GTE Pro, electing to give up his LMP2 points and move to the GTE class, and holding his own in that GTE machine, the Porsche here tonight. And you're going to see Blackner go by right about now and retake the lead.
Yeah, you got to give Dana Herron a lot of credit, though. A really solid race here in his debut, and he's been impressive pretty much all night long.
Look at some of these other battles. Pagel out of the pits, but yes, he is out of the pits. He has actually increased his time to Micheal Blackner with a 17-second pit stop. So really good job for Pagel there to get those positions. If I could talk, the time on the track gained on the pit stop.
Yeah, and this is where everything could change, Jared, as night comes over the track here. And you're going to see now, like, I mean, I'm looking at Ryan Pagel, and you just see how much his lights are lighting up that track. Great lights, by the way, on these cars. But nonetheless, again, your markers are changing. Your sight lines are changing. It's forever changing, and you got to be ready to adapt to this stuff.
Yeah, that's a huge thing because this track, there is lights here. It's not like it's completely pitch black, but it is dark out there. It's not, an oval that you might see. It's not like lit all the way around the track, but these cars are well lit. We're able to see them really well. Ryan Pagel doing a good job. 28-second lead over Daren Snyder. 2-minute lead over Brian Bliss in third in class there. And then you look at Blackner, who has 11-second lead over Staubitz, 19 over Herron. And then we look at Koontz, who has an 11-second lead over Wilkie and a 20-second lead over his teammate Nick Dicesare.
Yeah, I gotta give a shout out to Koontz in the 69. Matthew's just driven wonderfully on those older tires. He is really not letting up at all, driving a 149 flat there. I mean, of course he's slightly slower, but he's been amazing on these old tires.
And we're going board with him. He's getting up on Brian Bliss and Rob Shoemaker here, not flashing the lights, which, he has every right to do that when he's come up on slower traffic, but not really flashing the lights. I kind of respect that in a way.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not like it was on a straightaway, right? He caught him in the corners there, and just he's not there to distract someone. He probably think flashing him could cause distraction, could cause an accident. It's the last thing you want in front of you.
That's exactly right. Wilkie, great last lap though, Dean, and he's took 2 seconds out of the lead of Matt Koontz here. 20 minutes to go in this race though.
Yeah, he continues to fly around this track, but I think you might come up a little bit short. I don't know. 20 minutes, a long time. But, you're going to keep seeing low 148s, I think, when Wilkie's got open track. Maybe even the odd 147. Koontz, on the other hand, going to be mid to high 148s when he's got open track. So it's going to be close, Jared.
You're exactly right. And don't count out Dana Herron. He is only 8 seconds behind Donnie Staubitz now. He's actually put down some really good lap times. He had a 14-second stop, Dean, so he has less fuel in that Corvette than the two drivers in front of him. How much of a difference will that make? We'll find out. But he is making some time to Donnie Staubitz, who is actually gaining some time to Micheal Blackner.
Yeah, and again, this could be to do with the darkness as well. Like, different people are going to deal with this differently. I mean, you can see just from the broadcast alone, it's very, very different now than it was just 20 minutes ago.
And you're exactly right. And these guys racing pretty well. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's hard for us in the TV camera angle to really show you what's going on, but you look on board with these guys, it is amazing to see, how much they're able to know when their points of braking is and not really change up too much.
Yeah, it is quite amazing. I mean, the good thing about a day-night race is you've had the entire day to get all your muscle memory down, know the track very well. So, these lights are awesome lights that these cars have. They're able to see far enough ahead and really get into it. But still, I'll keep harping on it. It's still different, and it's going to change some. Some are going to run slower.
Micheal Blackner goes off course, and that's going to take half the time out to Donnie Staubitz. It's down to 5.6 now.
Wow. Blackner with a mistake, and that's definitely this nighttime stuff getting to him. So, again, you got to adapt. The other guy, we want to bring up Pagel again. Pagel now 31-second gap on his class, leading Micheal Blackner, a class above him, by 14.5 seconds. Ryan Pagel, the man tonight, just doing a great job.
And now he can relax. I mean, if he wins the overall GTE, there's some bonuses as we've talked about. But he's got 31 seconds, 18 minutes to go. I mean, that's a large lead as we see Eric Burghdoff coming in, Dean. So that strategy not going to pay off for him tonight.
Oh, that's unfortunate because he put a good effort out there, but we've seen him pit at I think it was
119.
119, 118 on the clock, and it was just a little short, and he's going to cash that in, and that's going to hurt him. But it was a nice try, man. I always love something different.
Exactly right, and good job there for Eric to kind of recover here tonight. Ryan Pagel, can't say enough about this young kid, doing a great job. Hopefully we'll get to hear from him tonight after this potential victory for him. Also, shout out again, we've talked about him several times, with Brian Bliss. First off, I love the fact, I don't know if this is something he did on the paint or if it's something with the Ferrari, but I love the glowing doors and the mirrors on that car.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, he locks it up, and he's into the pit wall.
No! Hang in there, Bliss.
We got to stop talking about people.
Oh, the curse bites him. But it looks like he's okay, Jared. That's a pretty hard lick there, but that car took it well. Looks like Bliss may be okay. I mean, he is having just a fantastic night. But this is a long time on the track. And for those who don't know, Brian deals with some other elements that would, debilitate just about anybody on the planet. So 2 hours in the chair for Brian Bliss is a long time, and he's doing a whale of a job.
Yeah, and he was talking about if he wasn't able to go tonight. And, he's out here and he's in third place. I don't think he's expecting that at all. So good job to Brian Bliss. Yario Escobar was up in fourth, but he is going to have to abandon his strategy and come in the pits. And that's going to move Rex Hoyle up into the fourth position in class. And Eric Burghdoff is there as well.
Time to start talking about Wilkie again. He's got it down to 6.3, 6.4 seconds here, and he's starting to get used to these night conditions. He's flying around here.
6.4. Last time around, it was a 1.2 second advantage to Wilkie, Dean. So a 148.5 for Wilkie, 149.7 to Koontz. There's enough time for Wilkie to get this done.
Well, yeah, it's about a second a lap. He's got, laps. We got maybe 8 or 9 laps, something like that. It's going to be really close, Jared.
This is going to be the battle. Somebody locking up in the GTE cars in front of Koontz. That's going to also cost him some time. Can't exactly tell who that is. Looks like Rex Hoyle and Theo Taylor in front of Koontz right now. Rex Hoyle gets out of the way quickly.
Yeah, Koontz in the mix of it here. This is terrible for him. He's got all kinds of problems here.
And he gets around. That is Matt Filipowicz that he gets around there. Oh, and Pagel's hit the wall. Pagel's into the fence, Dean, and he is, oh my goodness, Ryan Pagel stuck in the fence. He's had to get towed back to the pits.
Oh my goodness, Ryan Pagel.
And we'll see if Dean can get us a look in on that as we focus in on this battle. But tough break for Ryan Pagel, leading this race pretty much from start to finish.
Yeah, it looked like Pagel going wide around a car, or letting a car by. It's hard to tell. Got in the dirt, and he just couldn't shake it, Jared. Very strange action. And I think something must have happened at home, because he didn't even crash. He just kind of rode the outside of the corner, came to a stop, and then got out of the car. So Ryan Pagel, with some other problem at the home front, causing him to lose this race.
Let's take a look here. He is way wide. You see Brian Bliss going there, gets into the dirt, gets it under control, and slides it, heads into the fencing. Yeah, you're exactly right, Dean. That is a very strange incident. Ryan Pagel, unbelievable what has happened here.
Yeah, that is a shame. I mean, a guy in the amateur class, leading the entire class, even the pros, and I just can't say enough how unfortunate it is. But one's unfortunate is another man's gain, and that puts Daren Snyder into the lead in the GTE-AM class.
Daren Snyder doing a good job, and don't count out Brian Bliss. If an accident happens here, Brian Bliss in that catbird seat, 90 seconds behind Snyder, the only driver in the AM class on the lead lap with Snyder. So there's something there too, and Snyder in some heavy traffic here. Looks like one of the Porsches behind him. It's a little hard to tell at night when the lights go off here who exactly is around him, but Daren Snyder in the lead again.
Yeah, Daren Snyder back into the lead of this class. And like you said, Brian Bliss in second place in the class. What a run for him. But let's check in at another one. I see some times looking a little off here. Micheal Blackner in the pro with a 159.7 and Donnie with a 2 flat. So Michael starting to assert himself again. He's looking pretty good in the pro class.
He is, and back in the AM class, it's down to 4.3 seconds. They're coming across the line now, Dean, and let's see what Koontz did, a 149.57. Wilkie does a 149 flat, so half a second, not as good as he was before, but Wilkie also had a little bit traffic issues there, but Wilkie is coming, but he's got 12 minutes plus a lap to get it done.
Yeah, it's going to be really tight, and I hate to say it, but I think he can get there, Jared. I just don't think he can make a pass. It's so difficult to pass. This is going to be highly entertaining, though. If he can get this quickly down to 2 seconds, where Koontz can start to really see those lights flashing.
Oh, Koontz is around. Koontz spins it. And Wilkie is going to inherit the lead.
My goodness. Nighttime, day-night transition, 2-hour races. These kind of things happen.
I'm speechless right now. Matt Koontz doesn't make very many mistakes. Locked up the brakes going into turn 7. And Josh Wilkie looked like he had a battle on his hands and just slides by. Now Koontz, can he get this thing back? He's got older tires. He's at a disadvantage. And the nighttime conditions, Dean, really catching some drivers out. And that's another point of these endurance races.
Well, yeah, it's catching them out, but I went on board with Koontz, and it didn't look like a nighttime issue. It looked like a tire issue. And that is where the brilliance of Joshua Wilkie to take those tires at the halfway mark looked like a bad call. Everybody thought it was a bad call, or at least I did. But it looked like, now it looks like a genius call.
Unbelievable. Shout out also in our chat, Ryan Sorrell watching along with us at home, rooting on Proton Boogie Sim Sports. Not having the night they were wanting, but my goodness, what a job Josh Wilkie has done on that strategy, and that gap is continuing to go up with 10 minutes. Kind of anticlimactic, Dean, but with things the way they've been happening with Pagel and Koontz now, do we even talk about Micheal Blackner?
I don't know who we can allow to talk about right now. But Donnie Staubach's in behind Blackner, closing in a little bit here. Picked up about 0.3 or something on that last lap. So not looking like he's going to get there, but looking like he's going to hold off Dana Herron, who's sitting in third in the class, about 4 or 5 seconds behind Donnie right now. And both those guys having a heck of a night.
Yeah, good job for Dana Herron making his debut in the pro class, switching over from the prototype class from the first 2 races of the season. Blackner continued to lead, but Donnie Staubach's looking for his best finish of the season. He's had some hard luck of late. You talk about the other FTSR series we've covered. I mean, he finished, I believe, 40th in the Cup Series last Monday night. May have finished 40th on Wednesday night. So a good run here tonight for Donnie Staubach. Maybe can jumpstart him in some of those other series here at Full Throttle Sim Racing.
Yeah, let's just take a look through the rest of the drivers in this class. You got Theo Taylor here in 4th place. He's persevered through what was a tough night at times for him, but he's sitting in 4th, having a decent run. Rob Shoemaker currently shown in 5th in the class, and having a nice night. And you got Joe Flanagan and then Filipowicz. Both these guys hanging into what is a tough endurance race here.
Yeah, Joe Flanagan back there in 6th place, holding on steady. We talked about it, Dean. He said Sebring's not really one of his tracks, as you see. Looks like Filipowicz locking up there and right in front of him. He is 6 laps down. Daren Herron has gone off track, gets it going though. But said he wasn't. It's not his best track in the world, and expects to do a lot better at the Roval in a couple weeks here. But Flanagan doing a good job. Filipowicz with that damage, just hanging on to gain some points here tonight. And Dean, let's flip over to the AM class. Daren Snyder, he has been 2nd, 3rd overall all night, doing a whale of a job in that 13 machine.
Yeah, Snyder has done exactly what you need to do when you're out here. Race clean, race hard, but, make all the right calls. Don't go off track. We've seen what happened to Pagel, who's in 3rd now. That allowed him to grab the lead, and what a great race for Daren Snyder.
And we look back through the rest of these AM drivers. Brian Bliss on board him. Purple interior lights. I don't know if he's done that or if that's something you can set, but very cool. To see those lights on that machine. But Brian Bliss doing a good job in 2nd. Ryan Pagel back out on the track, Dean. 3rd place, 1 lap down in class. So he's still going to end up with a podium, but could have been so much more in that 81.
Yeah, it could. It's not only could he win his class, he could have won all of GTE, beaten all the pro drivers. Don't know what happened, but I assure you it was something to do with his computer. Perhaps, something, a cat did something, or
right.
Who knows, dropped a drink. It doesn't, these things happen in sim racing, and it's a tough night, but a great finish. I'm glad to see him back on the track.
And you have to remember, he is battling Daren Snyder. I mean, he's got a good point lead, but he's 3rd in points. Apologies, but Eric Burghdoff is behind him. He's the point leader, so there's still some points to be gained for Ryan Pagel tonight. Eric Burghdoff right behind him, doing a good job in fourth place. Definitely not the race I think that he probably wanted, but nonetheless hanging in there, trying to maintain that point lead with Daren Snyder winning this race, or leading this race, I should say, not winning it. But he is doing a good job. And Rex Hoyle on debut, Dean, fifth place, had some excursions, but really has been solid in that number 47 machine.
Yeah, really nice to see Rex out here racing in this series. I've seen him race before in our Cup series. Really respected him. I thought he was a fantastic driver. Not a bad race at all in his debut, sitting in fifth here.
We look further back. Jario Escobar in sixth place, having a good night, just keeping it clean. Had some toughness there, but looks like a little bit connection problems on the 26, but hanging in there. Tony Soler. Tough night, had an incident with Theo Taylor. That car got a little bit damaged there. Seventh right now, 2 laps down right now. Joseph Bellinger, a lot of damage on that machine from earlier in the race due to some contact. He is eighth. And then Stephen Loomis and Brad Cornthwaite both out of the race in 9th and 10th.
Yeah, good job by these guys. Looking in the PM2.
Oh, and Matt Koontz is off the track somewhere, Dean. He has spun it, and he has stopped on the track. I don't know. That is turn 7, and Dicesare is going to go around him. Matt Koontz, it's just falling apart for him here. 5 minutes to go in the race.
Koontz not liking the way these tires are handling. Again, going off the track as he carries a cone for about half a lap there. Oh, Koontz, such a rough night. He had a bit of a slow start, then showed dominance for a large part of the race, and it's just not going his way. Oh, and he's wiggling again and off
the track. Again. Off the track on the back straightaway, and Dean, and you wonder if he's maybe abused those tires. He didn't take tires all race, and you wonder if, Dicesare, he didn't take tires either, but you wonder if he manages tires just a little bit better because he hasn't had those off-track excursions. Koontz may have been just driving a little bit too hard there, as that car is really just wicked through Sunset Bend right now.
Yeah, it's got nothing left, and we only got about 4 minutes plus a lap, so he's got to do a few more laps here. He's got to calm down. There's no spots for him to get anymore, and he's got to just finish this thing in third, but it's going to be very unfortunate. But like we said earlier, one man's misfortune's another man's fortune. Wilkie going to come through as the only other driver. Maybe Jared, you can take that.
Yeah,
Romanowski is already, I believe, he's still on the track, so he's still persevering. 6 laps down.
Yeah, he's 6 laps down, had some damage, but he's out there with the Proton Boogie SimSport group trying to just complete some laps. And sometimes when you're making your debut in a series, you just got to complete some laps. But Josh Wilkie doing a great job for Angry Wife Racing. First place, looking to maybe grab his first career win here at FTSR. Dicesare 18 seconds back. Doesn't look to be much of a challenge unless there's an accident. I
tell you, Jared, I don't know if I could race for that team that Wilkie races for. The Angry Wife, man, that's a tough team right there.
Yeah, it's him and Daren Snyder, the 2 Canadians, I believe, and they'll probably correct me, but I believe Nova Scotia is where they're at. And those guys, I think know each other in real life, but racing pretty good for that team here and trying to pick up some team points as well in that standings.
As I told you earlier in private, Jared, people out in Nova Scotia, some of the best on the entire planet, in my estimation. Really think that they're top-notch people. I would imagine these two show that as well.
Yeah, awesome guys. And you see Josh Wilkie behind Brian Bliss now, trying to, just kind of be patient at this point. We're looking at probably, I want to say 2 laps to go, I would say, here in this race. No, probably 3 laps to go.
3 laps to go, and Bliss is probably thinking, that's 1 less lap I have to do, thank God. So not always bad to be passed by the other class.
Yeah, and these guys racing hard here, and we look at some of these other guys racing, Dean, back a little bit further in this field. Some positions still at play here in the GTE Pro class. Looking at Taylor and Shoemaker. Shoemaker is making some inroads, but it is a little bit larger gap than I thought, 10 seconds right now.
Yeah, most of the battles settled. You got Burghdoff and Hoyle are pretty close together. Hoyle about 2.2 seconds back. So about the only real battle that I can see out there for position.
Yeah, you're right, actually, Dean. There it is. There's the battle. Hoyle 2.3 seconds behind Burghdoff. That's a battle for fourth in AM class. As we are now at the 2-hour mark, is Wilkie going to cross the line at the 2-hour mark or before it? That's going to be the crucial point. So it's going to be 2 laps to go because we'll take the white flag next time around. So this race getting down to its penultimate ending here. Josh Wilkie's 16-second lead over Nick Dicesare. Matt Koontz 31 seconds back in P2 right now. Over in GTE-AM, Blackner leading 8.9 seconds. Dicesare making some inroads, but just not enough right now.
No, not enough. And
somebody's off.
Behind Blackner.
That's Joe Flanagan hard into the fencing. Flanagan hoping that race gets over quickly. Almost comes back out in front of Dicesare, unfortunately. Keeps it going, though.
Tough night for Flanagan out there. And we're seeing at this nighttime, these tires going away. People are starting to have some problems. You see Micheal Blackner going around Brian Bliss, I believe.
Yep.
But, it's interesting, the timing of that lap, Jared. Potential for other races. When the leader comes across here, you said 2 to go instead of 1 to go. That could have been something with fuel mileage. Say someone like Burghdoff, who was trying to stretch it at one point.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. It was 30 seconds or so from being the end of the white flag lap. That's how close it was. And Wilkie, you put down the gas a little bit. Make those LMP2 drivers work a little bit harder. Some of these other guys in class work a little bit harder. So there's always some strategies out there for why you cross the line or how you cross the line there.
Definitely. And I can just envision someone as a leader with a limited gas tank, as someone swerving down the track. That's Wilkie as he comes across to grab this win.
Yeah, he is. And I'm indicating that this may have been the last lap, actually. He might have gotten the white flag. I did not. Yeah, it is the checker flag, Dean. So this is the checker flag now coming out. So apologies to the driver, to everybody at home. The white flag just did not show up on our side, but that's checker flag for Josh Wilkie. He's going to win his first career FTSR race in the P2 class. 18-second lead over Mr. Matt Koontz. Micheal Blackner coming through Sunset Bend. A little bit wide, but doesn't matter. He's going to take GTE-Pro, grab his 3rd win of the season, Dean. Great job for him. And we check back on GTE-AM. Daren Snyder got a little bit of ways to go coming through Sunset Bend down.
Daren Snyder going to close this thing out for us, coming across the line to win the AM class. What a run for him. Great job by Daren.
And what a great race. A little bit anticlimactic, but at the end of the day, I mean, we had everything, I think, in this race here tonight with leaders going off track. Blackner even went off track despite his win. So those guys, excellent job out here tonight, Dean. And what more can you ask for from a multi-class day-to-night race?
Yeah, we did have it all, Jared. We had in the P2 class, we had 3 different leaders, right? These all of them looking like they were going to walk away with it at one point or another. It ends up being Wilkie with the fresher tires and great driving. What a great job by him. And in the other class, the AM class, we had quite a deal too, where we had that leader of Ryan Pagel was walking away with the GT stuff, and what an unfortunate incident for him.
You're exactly right, Dean. We still got some drivers waiting to cross the line here. Eric Burghdoff just finished the race up. Waiting on, it looks like, Joseph Bellinger. Yes, so we're waiting on him. We'll have the official results here in just a moment here.
Looks like Brian Bliss coming around too. I think he's still on track. He's going to have that great finish, 2nd place in the AM division.
That's his best finish of the season. So Brian Bliss, great job for him. These guys just finishing up the race here, and we'll have our results here in just a moment. There they go. There's our race results. P2 class, let's start with that, Dean. It was only 4 drivers, but they made a great race of it. Wilkie grabbing his first career win for Angry Wife Racing. Dicesare 2nd, Matt Koontz 3rd, Romanensky on his debut in 4th place for Proton Boogie.
Yeah, it was just like I said. I mean, I might have jumped the gun on you. I apologize there. But what a
Yep.
fabulous race from these P2 guys. Three different guys doing three different races almost. And unfortunate to see Koontz have those problems late. But Wilkie was looking like that decision, Jared. What a great decision to take those tires.
Exactly. Paid off for him. Then we look at GTE-Pro. Blackner wins it by 7 seconds over Dicesare. Dana Herron will step on the podium in the Pro class in his first race in that series. Theo Taylor, 4th. Shoemaker, 5th. Joe Flanagan, a little bit of a tough night, finishing 2 laps down in 6th place. And Matthew Filipowicz in 7th. And then, Dean, last but not least, our amateur class as we finish this thing up here. Amateur class, Daren Snyder kind of snuck one out, getting the win. A 2-minute win over Brian Bliss in 2nd place. Ryan Pagel recovers for 3rd. Eric Burghdoff 4th. Rex Hoyle on debut 5th. Yario Escobar 6th. Tony Soler 7th. Joseph Bellinger on debut 8th. Stephen Loomis and Brad Cornthwaite had a little bit of issues early in the race and finished in 9th and 10th.
Just a fabulous race from all these guys, and couldn't be more impressed with Pagel. We're so sorry to whatever happened with him there, but Daren Snyder, man, just a solid event. Him and Brian Bliss, can't say enough about Bliss as well. It was a lot of fun, and seeing Burghdoff try that strategy, Jared, I really enjoyed that as well. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for him, but I'm impressed he made his way back up to 4th place.
All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break here and hear from our class winners here tonight at the Sebring 120.
The field is rolling on the back straightaway.
Get ready, this is going to be tight. Out of turn 4, ladies and gentlemen. The All-American 400 is underway.
Gotta be careful, the bumps here can get you every time. Entering the corner, exiting the corner.
All right, we are back live here at Sebring International Raceway, where Josh Wilkie wins the 120 minutes of Sebring overall class winner, presented by Hard Dicks Hop and Ale. Micheal Blackner grabs the GTE Pro class, and Daren Snyder grabs the GTE-AM class tonight, Dean.
Yeah, they all did a great job. Snyder and Wilkie both battling back from adversity to take these wins. A fantastic job by all three guys.
So it looks like we're not going to be hearing from our GTE-AM winner. We're going to give him a second here. But, Dean, I think you're down on pit road with our overall P2 winner, Mr. Josh Wilkie, who wins the 120 minutes of Sebring.
Yeah, I got 007 himself, Joshua Wilkie. Congrats, man, on winning this great race out here tonight. Joshua Wilkie, you got your ears on. Well, Jared, I think we probably have some technical issues with him trying to get TeamSpeak sorted out. Maybe we get a word in with Nick Dicesare.
Now let's go ahead and bring Nick up here. Nick, you got a copy on you.
Yeah, what's up, Jared and Dean?
Yeah, good race here tonight, finishing second overall, second in class. Take us through your race, man. I mean, what an up and down night it was.
Yeah, we both, Matt and I both went for the no tire strategy. And at the end, it definitely put us at a disadvantage. I think with the benefit of hindsight, we probably would have changed tires, just looking at what Josh was able to do at the end of the race.
And we saw you guys battling hard. You know, Josh had that little incident early in the race and had to really chase back down, but it looked like you were in control of the race for a little bit, and then you had a little bit of an off-track excursion. How treacherous was it out there?
You know, I practiced yesterday in the server, and I did a couple fuel runs without changing tires, and I didn't see any problems with the tires being cold coming out of the pits, but for whatever reason there, it bit me. I'm glad I didn't spin all the way around, but kind of set me back, and I never could really claw that time back.
So, Nick, I mean, you won last week at Coda. You grab a second place here. You're going to be the unofficially, I believe, it's going to be close with the bonus points. Close to the points lead, if not the points leader. Got a couple weeks off heading into Charlotte Roval the next time we're out. It's the first sprint race of the season, 50 minutes, so a little bit quicker than we've done all year. What can we expect from that race, and are you looking forward to running at the Roval again?
You know, I don't have a lot of experience on that track in basically any car. I think I've only done one race there, so we're definitely going to have to do our due diligence for the team, figure out what the strategy is. I'm sure we're not going to change tires, but 50 minutes is probably going to be not even 2 full tanks of gas. So we'll have some different strategies that could or could not play out. Plus the track is so tight. There's a lot of opportunities for mix-ups with the other classes.
Yeah, exactly right, Nick. Well, congratulations on your runner-up overall finish here tonight. I'm going to turn the floor over to you, man, and let you have the last word.
Yeah, I just want to congratulate the class winners. Josh was really fast out there. Matt was also fast. Mike and I can't remember who won GTE-AM, and I'm sorry, but everyone was pretty nice out there. I didn't see too many incidents, and it was I hope it was a good show, and thanks for broadcasting.
That was an excellent show, Nick, and congratulations on your second place finish. Dean, I believe we have our second place in GTE-AM, Mr. Brian Bliss, since our winner is not here. I think you're down there with Brian.
Yeah, I got Brian Bliss in the 18, known as Biggie. Biggie, what a night tonight. A big night, if you will. Second place, man.
Yeah, it's one of the very few road courses I'm decent at.
Oh, man, you're more than decent. We were talking about you a lot tonight. Thought you put on a heck of a show. Very impressed, man. Talk a little bit about the battles tonight that you had, and really more battling the track and the length of this race.
Yeah, I misjudged the timing on the race and almost ran out of gas there at the end. So I was battling myself.
Well, luckily, we thought there was going to be another lap even, so luckily it ended there, man. But you got to be ecstatic about this, getting a second place here tonight. Did this spur you on looking into next week and the Roval?
Yeah, it definitely gives me a little bit momentum.
All right, man. Well, like I said, we can't speak highly enough about you, Brian. I thought you did a fabulous job. Big congratulations on second place, man. We'll give you the floor. Any shout outs you want to make? Anybody you want to thank?
I thank Blackwater for putting me in the car.
There you go, Jared. A man, a few words. He thanks Blackwater for putting him in the car. Brian Bliss, second place tonight in the AM class. What a job he did.
Yeah, he did, Dean. And we're going to try, we're going to go ahead and grab our GTE winner, Mr. Micheal Blackner. Third win in a row in GTE Pro. Congratulations, man.
Oh, thank you very much.
So you had a little bit of an interesting race here tonight. I mean, you weren't battling per se with Mr. Ryan Pagel, but he was there, and the GTE-AM, GTE Pro, a little bit of a showdown between those two classes tonight.
Yeah, that first stint, he was right with me, so I was just trying to stay ahead of him, at least enough to keep it clean between both of us where we had plenty of room. And then towards the end of that first stint, I started backing off, trying to get an extra lap of fuel in, because I wasn't sure how close it was going to be at the end, but I didn't want to take a chance. But I don't know what happened to him there in the last stint. I just know he ended up on pit road, so I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it looked like he had a little off-track excursion. Not 100% sure what happened, but tough break for him. But Micheal, you're battling in GTE-AM. You had a good lead over Theo Taylor. He kind of dropped out. But then Donnie Staubitz is coming. Did you think that, Donnie was going to get there toward the end of the race?
I was going back and forth in my mind. I kept thinking, I got to push, I got to go further, I got to just keep pushing. That second pit stop we made, I was so close to taking tires because I wasn't sure what everybody else was going to do. And then I decided I'll wait till the third one, see what happens. And then Ryan pulled out right away as soon as I pulled in, so I knew he didn't take tires. And from there, I just figured it's probably just going to be fuel the whole time. But back to Donnie, though, yeah, I was worried about him. He was starting to come on at the end.
Yeah, and you talk about tires. I mean, we saw it in the P2 class where tires may have made the difference in the race, but you ended up deciding to not take tires. Did you think that maybe you could have increased the gap by taking tires, or was it that much slower?
That's where it was getting fuzzy for me coming into that second stop there because we were still running about the same lap times. Even the last 2 or 3 laps of the race, I'm still running about a second and a half, maybe 2 seconds slower off my optimal or whatever I set during the race. So I was still setting decent lap times. I figured tires might help. It would definitely help the handling of the car, but I don't think it would have been would have made a big difference.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. Sebring, very difficult track. I've got 2 weeks, or actually 3 weeks, and then we're headed to the Roval. We talked to Nick about a 15-minute race rather than a 75-minute or a 2-hour race. How much different is that race going to be heading to the Roval, where it's a little bit tighter and you got multi-class racing to deal with?
One thing I've learned is the Corvettes are definitely faster on the straights. That's been my Achilles heel in Daytona and Monza at first. Here, it didn't seem as noticeable, but there it's going to be all about getting through those corners. Even coming out of NASCAR one onto a backstretch, there isn't enough time for speed to make a difference. So it's going to be tough, and with prototypes, it's going to be even tougher trying to navigate traffic, whether you're the fast car or the slow traffic.
Well, Micheal, it's going to be fun to watch it, and congratulations on your third straight victory. I'm going to turn the floor over to you, bud, and let you have the last word.
I just want to thank Porsche for definitely being the better choice of what I had the options to pick with. Valvoline, everybody on the team, all the hard work we put in, just definitely thankful for you for having this series and you guys actually putting in time for this broadcast. But big shout out to everybody here tonight. 2 hours at Sebring is not, it's difficult. It's definitely not as easy as it looks.
Well, Micheal, congratulations on that victory there. And we're going to try one more time to get our P2 victory. Mr. Josh Wilkie, you got those ears on.
I do. I figured it out.
All right. I think we got Dean Doucet standing by with you on your victory.
Sure, I got, like I said, 007, Joshua Wilkie, our race winner in the P2 class. What a race, Josh. Some decisions and all that. But first off, congrats on a great victory.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. That was a good one there. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to do it, and then we got some tires and ended up being able to catch up there. I wish I could say that that was planned, but I actually forgot to uncheck my tires, and yeah, about a quarter of the way into that stint, I realized I might be able to catch them.
Wow, isn't that something? Forgot to check them. It works out for the best. We thought for sure it was a strategy call and a tough one. We weren't too sure if it's the right one, but I think ultimately maybe you did learn something here tonight that maybe it was the right call. We've seen what happened to Koontz late in the run. He could barely hang on to that thing. And what do you think after taking those tires now by accident? Was it something you'll consider in the future?
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. It was. I was actually considering taking tires anyway because my front right started to kind of just peel off on me. I figured nobody would be doing it, and if I did it, it would be a death sentence for sure. But yeah, definitely rethink the strategy and stuff from now on. When you're in that position, it may be better to just take the tires and roll the dice and see what you can do.
What a battle you top three had here. We had quite a race here. Dicesare leading this race at times, looking like he might be able to walk away with it a bit. You're hanging in tough, of course. Koontz is hanging in tough. Now it's Koontz all of a sudden in the lead. He looks like he's the man to beat. He was taking it easy early in the race, and he's coming out there. Then we're looking at lap times. Like all along, you might have been the fastest guy on the track, but you had that early incident, put you 11 seconds back, and you had to battle all night long. Joshua, as you were back there and you're looking at these two and what they're doing, what were you thinking when you got down 11 seconds and you knew you had to do all this hard work to get back in it?
Yeah, well, for a little bit there, I was a bit worried. The only thing on my mind really was get as close to them as I can so I can meet traffic with them at the same time. I did kind of get the short end of the stick for a while there and was catching the GTEs and the twisties, and they seemed to be getting them in the straighter part. So things weren't feeling too good then, to be honest. And then, like I said, my tires sort of started to fall off. I was having trouble kind of just bungeeing with them, second back and forth there. And once I got the new tires on, and I was 10 minutes into it, I realized, hey, I might be able to actually catch this guy. So yeah, pretty cool and very disheartening in the beginning there when I spun on the first lap on the curb. But yeah, it was good racing from everybody, and glad to be a part of it.
Yeah, it was very disheartening, I'm sure, to have that happen. But you talk about the tires and all that, and just what a job it is to come through this traffic. Like, so much luck is necessary to get through these guys. Like you said, you're catching them in the S's in the turns, and other guys catching them on the streets. Talk about how much of a factor that is in this multi-class racing.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge, right? The ebb and flow of racing there, and people being able to, kind of play ball with each other and so on is super key with these ones for sure. The GTE field actually did a really good job there, I think, of playing ball well with everybody. I didn't really have any problems with anyone. Tried to stay out of people's way. I got a little aggressive a couple times, but with endurance racing, that's the name of the game, really. It's a little bit of luck, a little bit of skill, a little bit of throwing it up the inside, and if you're lucky, you come out on the end and on top.
That's for sure. We talked a lot about it. I preach a lot of patience in oval side of racing. This a little bit different here, and you need some well-timed aggression. Joshua, you did it perfectly tonight. I thought it was excellent the way you were a little more aggressive with some of these lap traffic, and especially early on when you had to make up some of that time. You did it. You persevered. You got the victory tonight. A huge congratulations, man. We're going to turn the floor over to you. Anybody you want to thank? Anybody? Any shout outs you want to give?
Yeah, I'll give a shout out to my buddy down there in Dana, my teammate. I think he ended up in third, so great showing for him as well in the GTEs tonight, and obviously you guys putting all this on for us and everything. It's been a great experience. One of my first league things, and this is probably my first broadcast I've ever been a part of as well. So good on you boys for that, and hopefully I can make the next one.
All right, Jared, there you have it. Joshua Wilkie, 007 in Victory Lane.
And from one Canadian to another, Josh Wilkie to Dean Doucet there. But Dean, what a race it was tonight. We had a lot of everything, maybe a little anticlimactic. but the mission to get there was pretty amazing.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, it really did have everything tonight. It lived up to the billing. It was a lot of fun here in the booth and a lot of fun for these guys. And, the thing that I like about it is it had the perseverance factor, something you don't see too often anymore, where actual physical wear on the body and on the mind as well came into play. And the guys who got their race wins tonight, they earned it after 2 hours of hard racing.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Dean. Well, that's going to do it from Sebring. Full Throttle TV be back in action, not tomorrow night. The ESRA is off, but we'll be back in action on Monday night for the Full Throttle Sim Racing League. Those guys going to be at Phoenix International Raceway for their Dark Matter Designs Cup Series. And then we'll be back in action on Wednesday night for the Full Throttle Sim Racing Truck Series. Those guys will be at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And then Thursday night, ESRA back on Full Throttle TV for their IndyCar Series. Those guys will be at Richmond Raceway. So we have a lot of great races coming up this week. Hope you'll join us and catch all the action for Dean Doucet. I'm Jared Carr. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you guys out on the track.